A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells move in immediately.
That's it. Let's go. Let's go. Firefighters. Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a moment, we'll join Chief Cody and rookie fireman Tim Collins in the control cockpit of a giant airliner, winging its way through the dark night far above the ground. They know it's only a matter of time now before the fire in the baggage compartment breaks into the passenger area. But until a moment ago, it looked like their pilot, Captain Lorenzo, had found a small airport off the beaten path in which he could safely set the big ship down before the passengers were fully aware of the danger they face. Then, when every calculation said they were above their destination, a puzzling situation developed. What that was, we'll see right after this message you'll want to hear. Let's go, firefighters. Let's join Chief Cody and fireman Tim Collins aboard the airliner droning on through the night, with that faint, menacing curl of smoke still coming from the baggage compartment. They're now directly over what Captain Lorenzo swears is a small airport used in hauling freight for a nearby mill town. Why then no sign of lights below? Well, to attract attention, the pilot decides to buzz the field. Not once but twice the plane swings in low, and the two firemen hold their breath even while admiring his skill. For on one side loom the mountains, and on the other, a few moving headlights indicate the highway with its high-tension wires alongside it. And then...
Well, I've buzzed that field twice and still no signs of life, Chief Cody. If they don't know we're in trouble now, they never will.
Yet there must be somebody down there, Captain. You said you caught a glimpse of that light in one of the buildings, didn't you, Chief?
I'm sure of it, Tim. There's somebody at that airfield, no doubt about it.
How much more time before that fire in back really breaks loose, Chief? 20 minutes?
It's hard to say, son, but less than that, I'd estimate.
Oh, too bad. If we're going to set this ship down, this has to be the place. We'll buzz them once more.
Oh, that won't help, Captain. They must have heard us before.
Then why the dickens don't they get out there and turn those landing lights on? They think I can land in pitch black?
You sure this field has lights, Captain?
Of course, sir. But I don't see how we can contact them.
How about a parachute, Captain? You got such a thing?
Yes. But who'd handle the plane with my co-pilot knocked out by those CO2 extinctors?
I wasn't thinking of you or Bunker, Captain.
Well, you're not thinking that you, Tim.
Well, why not, Chief? I could bail out.
Now, listen to him, would you? His first plane trip, too.
Well, you've got what it takes, Collins.
Well, the point is, someone's got to get to whoever's at that field and get those landing lights on while there's still hope.
But to hit the silk in the dark, over territory you don't know.
I'll take my chance. The life of every person in this plane depends on your making a landing in time. Mighty soon. And if either of you can think of a better way, let's have it.
Captain Lorenzo looks at Chief Cody, and for a moment, neither man says a word. Then the chief nods his head briefly. A moment later, Tim is being strapped into the harness under the watchful eye of the pilot, whose instructions are brief and to the point. Then, as Chief Cody is about to open the door from the control cockpit, he stops and says,
Oh, I just remembered. We've got another problem. Got to keep those passengers out there from being rattled when they see you, Tim. You better leave them to me.
Oh, gladly, Chief. I've got plenty on my mind without that.
Oh, I'd appreciate it if you check the fire once more, Chief, and then report back here to me. Good luck, Collins.
Thanks, Captain. All right, let's roll, Chief.
All right. Now, there's no need to look startled, folks. This fellow with the parachute, he didn't pay his fare. We got to drop him off. But seriously, folks, the situation is this. We've had a little trouble in the baggage compartment. Well, our pilot's got us right above the nicest emergency landing field you could ask for. The only trouble is somebody's asleep down there, and we've got to wake him up, get the landing lights on. Now, Tim here's volunteered to do that job. We'll be on the ground and out of this now before you know. Just you keep as calm as you've been up till now, and we'll get out of this all right. Come on back, Tim.
Yes, sir. Let's get that door open and get this over.
Well, we'll get it ready and then stand by.
Yes, sir.
The captain will flash that signal up there when he wants you to bail out.
I don't know, but what I'd rather be facing a 5-alarm fire than just stepping out into space, Chief.
Don't blame me a bit. The point is you're doing it, son. Uh-oh. There's your signal.
Yes, sir.
We're in position.
Oh, good. Now, let me give you a hand with that door, Chief.
All right.
Here she comes. Yeah. Well, I'll see you soon, Chief.
Absolutely, son. God bless you. Happy landing.
One step out, and Tim tumbles into space. Down he goes, each second seeming like an hour. Then, the yank at the ripcord and the sudden jerk of the opening chute. Gradually, the drone of the plane fades, and Tim floats down through the silent space. And then...
I made it. I made it. Oh, no trees, no river. No high-tension wires, just a nice mess of bushes. I must have twisted my ankle. Well, it's funny how you don't notice it until a second later. Well, now, if I can get out of this harness, fight my way out of here. Lucky there's no wind. I might have been dragged. Oh, boy, what a pilot. Yeah, I can see a light from the building in the distance. Must be on the edge of the clearing, the airfield. All right, get going, Collins. Get going.
Free of the chute, Tim pushes his way through the bushes toward the field. Once there, he limps quickly toward the lighted building, surprised to discover the great hangar itself is dark. The light, oddly enough, is coming from a small tumble-down shaft.
Hey, you in there! Open up, will you? It's a matter of life and death.
Hold your horses, young fella. I was on the phone.
Well, I can't help that, sir. Somewhere above this field, there's a plane. There's a fire in her baggage compartment.
Oh, so that's why he came swooping down here out of the dark, scaring the daylights out of me.
Well, if you heard him buzz the field, why didn't you do something?
Now, look, mister, I'm only one person. I'm not as spry as I used to be. Old Man Ransom, they call me.
My name's Collins. You mean to say you're the only person on this field right now?
Yep. Hey, you got kind of scratched up, didn't you?
Well, I parachuted out of the plane, landed in the underbrush.
Well, I'll be darned. You must be in a bad fix up there, eh?
I told you that, sir. You and I have got to do something fast.
Well, I already done it. Called the fire department when I thought that plane was going to crash. Figured nobody'd take a chance coming so low unless there was trouble.
Oh, well, I guess you did do what you could, but... Well, then I'd be the first to say call the fire department, Mr. Ransom.
Sure. They'll need them if they crash land here.
You and I are going to see that they don't, sir. We're going to bring them in safely.
Well, how? I'm the watchman here, Collins, and I know this field.
Oh, swell. Now, is the runway long enough for an airliner like that?
Well, of course it is. They use big ships to cart freight to and from the mill, young fella.
Oh, fine. It's in good condition.
Perfect, but...
There can't be any buts about this, sir. We've got to get out there and get those landing lights on. Yeah, you hear that?
Yep. Seems to be circling back. I wish we could help.
Well, why can't we?
Well, it's kind of a long story.
Well, sir, we've got no time for it then. My friends are up there, and I know how desperate the situation is for them.
But Tim is mistaken. He doesn't know. For at this moment, Chief Cody has returned to the control cockpit, his mouth grim as he meets the anxious eyes of the pilot.
You check the fire again, Chief. Bad news, huh?
Looks that way, Captain Lorenzo. Afraid I overestimated the time left to us.
It's working its way out of the compartment now.
May break through in a matter of minutes.
What about the passengers? Panic?
Not yet, but any minute now the smoke will be letting them in on just how serious things are.
Well, it's up to your friend Tim Collins now. No sign of landing lights yet.
I know. Nothing but a big black patch underneath us. And trouble on either side.
Oh, hang the mountains and the high-tension wires, Chief. They don't worry me. That is, with some lights to mark the field, they don't.
Well, let's keep hoping. Tim will get through if it's humanly possible. Maybe any second that field is going to light up like a birthday cake. Tim will find someone to throw that switch for us.
Now, look, you say the switch is in the hangar, Mr. Ransom.
Yep.
If you won't come with me, I'll go alone.
If you just calm down a minute, Collins, maybe I could make you understand throwing that switch won't give you no light.
I don't know much about airports, sir. Firefighting's my business, but I can see this field is ringed with poles, electric light poles.
That's right. When the mill was running full blast, they used to have a thriving business here some nights.
Used to? What do you mean?
Well, the mill's gone out of business. This little airport ceased operations 2 days ago. I've been trying to tell you.
Okay, but how does that stop us from throwing the switch on the landing lights?
It doesn't. Only you won't get no lights on. Not with empty sockets.
You mean there's no bulbs or whatever they use?
They sure do. They carted every bit of equipment away yesterday. Ain't a pilot alive who could land on this here dead dark field tonight, and I ain't got flares nor nothing. Not so much as a candle to light 'em in.
Tim stands in the doorway of the shack, staring at the old man with a dazed expression. Have his efforts been in vain? How much longer does his old friend Chief Cody and the passengers circling the field above him have? Is there some way, still some method by which the great plane can be brought down in time? For Tim's answer to this, be sure to listen to the next exciting episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Cody will be back to tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, an important message for you. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special message for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. Last time you may recall, I asked you to check the mortar and bricks in your chimneys to make sure there was no danger of fire in your home. Now let's carry that one step farther so that it includes stoves. If you find any stovepipes that pass through attic, closet, or storerooms, call it to your parents' attention. Tell them that creates a danger in those spots, and stovepipes should be eliminated from them. Well, that does it for now. Till next time, this is Chief Cody saying, so long.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go!
And its 98,000 dealers bring you Mr. Fred McMurray in tonight's presentation of Suspense. Tonight, Autolite presents the story about a man who dreamed of someday having all the money he would ever need, and one day found a way to make his dream come true. The Great Train Robbery. Our star, Mr. Fred McMurray.
Well, Harlow, the team is all set for the season.
Always, Hap. That great Autolite electrical system in your car is designed as a team and works as a team. That's because every unit, like the coil, distributor, spark plugs, battery, generator, and starting motor, are all related by Autolite engineering design and manufacturing skill to give you the smoothest performance money can buy.
Harlow, I mean our ball team.
And the electrical system really has to be on the ball. It goes into action the instant you press the starter, and it continues every second the engine runs. And it works every time you blow the horn or turn on lights, radio heater, or electric windshield wiper.
Harlow, I know it's important.
It sure is, Hap, and that's why it pays to treat the electrical system of your car to a periodic checkup. See your car dealer or your authorized Autolite service station. You can quickly locate your nearest authorized Autolite service station in the classified section of your phone book under Automobile Electrical Service. Or call Western Union by number and ask for Operator 25. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite. And now, Autolite presents transcribed The Great Train Robbery, starring Mr. Fred McMurray, hoping once again to keep you in suspense.
My name is Walter Beaumont. I'm 42 years old. I have no prominent marks or features that would distinguish me from any other plain, ordinary citizen. I live with my wife, Bess, in Oakland. If you saw me walking down the street, you wouldn't give me a second glance. The details of my appearance are very important. You see, they're what convinced me that I could execute a great train robbery. Bess and I have been married for 16 long and uneventful years. The year before we were married, I went to work for a toy manufacturing firm. I've been down there ever since and am now making $62 a week. 16 years ago, I had a lot of dreams and some ambition. But the necessities and responsibilities of our everyday living have cost me most of those dreams and what little ambition I had.
Walter, did you remember to pay the rent?
Yes, Bess.
Installment on the washing machine?
Uh-huh.
What about the payment on the car and the box spring and mattress?
Those too, Bess.
Oh, wished we had a little money left over. At least enough to buy you a new white shirt. I've already turned the collars on the only 3 you own. Well, maybe we can get you one next month, if we're lucky.
If we're lucky. For 16 years, it's been the same thing, over and over again. A new white shirt if we're lucky. A new pair of hose if we're lucky. The same thing, it never changes. Each night at 5:30, I drive up and park in front of a tarnished white stucco house where we've lived for the last 8 years, and I know that nothing has changed. But tonight when I got home, there was a change. A happy change. Some relief. A new face. The face of a visiting long-lost relative. Cousin Eugene.
Yes, sirree, Cousin Bess. That's just about the best meal I've had in a long, long time.
Well, I'm glad you like it, Eugene.
One of these days we'll have you over for a real feast, Eugene.
As soon as Walter's ship comes in.
Oh, I'm a plain man. The simple things in life are good enough for me.
Not for Walter. He's got ideas high and mighty.
No, not anymore.
He's got a dream world all his own.
Well, Cousin Bess, we all do a little dreaming now and then. Cigar, Cousin Walter?
Oh, yes, thanks. Thanks, Eugene.
Here's a light.
That tastes good.
Yeah. There's nothing like a cigar after dinner, say I. It's the finishing touch.
Do you have any definite plans for the future, Eugene?
Well, Walter, I think I'm just about ready to settle down.
Well, that's good to hear.
I'd like to buy me a farm somewheres and maybe raise some chickens. Always did like chickens.
You know, I think I would have done something like that one day if...
Go ahead, Walter. Say it. If you'd ever had the money.
Well, that's my problem, folks. Money. You gotta have money to buy a farm, and right now I don't have any.
Well, that's a shame.
Say, speaking of money, you ever been up to Reno, Nevada, Walter?
No, I've never been there.
We don't get to go to too many places, Eugene. Seems like we always have something else more important to do with Walter's vacation money.
Well, you've never seen so much money in all your life as there is in Reno.
I'll bet it's an exciting town, all right?
Oh, it is. Just about one of the most exciting towns I've ever been in. Yes, sirree. Lots of excitement. Lots of money.
I guess our type of people would never get up to a city like Reno.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, Cousin Walter. They get all types of people up in a city like Reno, all types. You see, people figure there's money to be had there, and money attracts all kinds of people.
I often wondered what Walter'd do if he had a lot of money.
He'd be an interesting man to watch.
Him and all his dreams.
Yeah, they have all types up there. Rich man, poor man, beggar man, thief.
What did you say, Eugene?
I said rich man, poor man, beggar man, thief.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I thought you said. And then Cousin Eugene gave me one of those long, lingering, meaningful looks. Then he leaned back in his chair, smiled, inhaled deeply on his cigar, blew the smoke out in a thin stream and watched it as it fanned up toward the ceiling. Eugene had made some kind of a decision, and it concerned me. It concerned me very much. The following morning, about 11:30, Eugene called me at the office. He told me he wanted to see me on my lunch hour. He said he had something very important that he wanted to talk over with me, and could I meet him? I met him at 5 minutes after 12 in front of the ferry terminal. It's not too long a ferry boat ride over to Richmond, and I figured I could be back to work on time. I'll just eat my lunch while you go ahead and talk, Eugene. Is that all right?
Oh, sure. Sure, go right ahead, Cousin Walter. Best fix your lunch every day?
Oh, yeah. Every day, as far back as I can remember. You'd be surprised how much money it saves.
Walter, what would you do if I gave you one half of, say, $25,000?
Excuse me, for a minute I thought you said $25,000.
I did.
What are you talking about, Eugene?
Well, you're a dreamer, so am I. There's only one way to make our dreams come true. We have to buy them, Cousin Walter, with money. That's why I've picked you.
Picked me?
Last night at the dinner table, I said there was a lot of money in Reno, Nevada.
That's right, you did.
Now, some of this money stays in Reno, and some of it goes elsewhere. Do you follow me?
No, not quite.
Well, some of it goes to banks, like banks here in Oakland and San Francisco.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Now, how does it get to these banks? Well, some of it they drive, some of it they fly, and some of it they load on the mail car of a train. You follow me?
Go ahead, Eugene. Go ahead.
The train they loaded on leaves the city of Reno every Thursday morning at 11 o'clock. It arrives in San Francisco at 4:30 in the afternoon. Do you follow me now?
Yes.
After the train leaves Reno, it passes through a place called Soda Springs at 10 minutes to 1. Then there follows a stretch of about 20 minutes before it passes a place called Dutch Flat, a stretch of nothing but lonely, dry desert.
Go on, Eugene.
And
Go on.
if one gentleman was to get on the train in Reno and another gentleman was to drive a car to a deserted junction in between Soda Springs and Dutch Flat...
The train could be stopped, the money taken off, and the gentlemen well on their way before the authorities could be warned.
Why, Cousin Walter, do you realize what you've just suggested?
Yes, Eugene, I just suggested that we rob a train. The ferry boat pulled into the Richmond landing and Eugene got off. As he stepped down the gangplank, he turned around, smiled, and waved at me and disappeared into the crowd. The following day at work, I had a hard time trying to concentrate on a new shipment of toy atomic tanks we'd gotten in. And right after lunch, the phone on my desk began to ring. I let it ring a couple of times. I was almost afraid to pick it up. Afraid that it might not be Eugene. Hello?
Hello, Cousin Walter?
Yes.
Done much thinking about that matter we discussed?
Yes, I have. But, Eugene, I was thinking, how can just the two of us...
Oh, it's very simple. I've worked for weeks on this plan. You must have complete faith in me.
Oh, I do, Eugene, I do. But what about Bess? How will I explain it to her?
Oh, now you just leave that to me.
Yes, but eventually I'm going to...
Eventually you can tell her. And, Cousin Walter...
Yes?
What's more, I know she'll understand.
And so it begins. It's the kind of a thrill that comes once in a lifetime. When I was just a small boy, I had play-acted it out many times, but now it was a reality. I was going to rob a train of an estimated $25,000. We decided on a date. The robbery would take place 2 weeks from the following Thursday. That would give us ample time to prepare everything. And every day on my lunch hour, we would go over our plans, step by step.
Now, the baggage car is in between the regular car and the mail car. There are 2 guards in the mail car, 1 man in the baggage car. Now, once we get past the man in the baggage car, our problem is solved. But timing is the most important thing, Cousin Walter.
Absolutely. I realize that, Eugene. It must be timed to the split second.
As you see, it takes 10 minutes to get to the junction where the man in the automobile should be waiting.
10 minutes, right.
The emergency cord should be pulled about 30 seconds before the junction is reached. No sense to upset the passengers. Now, what about your job, Cousin Walter? Will they let you take a week off?
Oh, I'm sure they will. Sure, they'll let me off. But I'm still worried about Bess, Eugene.
Oh, now don't you worry about her. I'll talk to Bess. You just leave her to me. I'll talk to her.
And he did. He wove Bess around his fingers as if she'd been putty. By the time he was through with her, she was begging me to take a week off and go somewhere. We'll find the money to pay for the trip somewhere, she said. But when Eugene suggested he'd finance the trip, that was the clincher. He told Bess he was going to take me up to the Hillary Lodge at Lake Tahoe for some fishing. Only he didn't finance the trip, I did. With the $178 I drew out of our savings account at the bank. We needed money for our hotel room in Reno, the train ticket we had to buy, and for the gun we needed. The rest of the week went fast. And then it was Friday night, and we were ready to leave. Eugene was waiting out in my car while I was finishing packing.
Oh, Walter.
Now, look, Bess, it's only for a week.
I know, but... Well, here, Walter. Here are your other 2 shirts. You want to look nice and neat. Here, put them in the suitcase.
Fine. There. Well, I guess I'm all set. You better hurry.
Walter, you will take care of yourself.
Oh, of course I will, Bess. Now, don't you worry. I'll be all right. Well, all set, Eugene.
Oh, good.
Oh, Eugene.
Yes, Cousin Bess?
You take care of my Walter. Where'd you say you were staying?
The Hillary Lodge. It's near the lake.
Oh, Walter.
Now, look, Bess. If I don't write, please don't get worried. Promise me?
Yes, I promise.
Well, goodbye, dear.
Goodbye, Walter. Jean, take care, and have a good time.
Bye.
Well, we're on our way, Eugene.
Yep.
You know, the next time I drive down this street, I'll be a rich man.
Yep.
People like Bess are wrong, Eugene.
Wrong?
Yeah. Who says dreams don't come true?
Autolite is bringing you Mr. Fred McMurray in The Great Train Robbery. Tonight's presentation in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Say, Hap, talking about the first 2-unit 6-volt automotive electrical system used as original equipment.
Talking about what?
Why, about the forerunner of today's modern and precision-made automotive electrical system.
Oh.
Why, everyone knows Autolite engineers developed it 42 years ago.
Well, let's talk about baseball, Harlow. The season's underway.
Just like players on a winning ball team, every unit of the Autolite electrical system has to work with every other unit of the system to give you the smooth, economical performance you just normally expect from a car. That goes for the coil, distributor, starting motor, generator, battery, spark plugs, voltage regulator, and their thousands of component parts.
You're talking about teamwork, eh, Harlow?
I sure am, Hap, because every unit of the Autolite electrical system is related by Autolite engineering design and manufacturing skill to give you the smoothest performance money can buy. So when your Autolite-equipped car needs replacements, insist on the best Autolite original service parts. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. Fred McMurray in Elliot Lewis's production of The Great Train Robbery, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Cousin Eugene and I arrived in Reno, Nevada late Friday night. When we got to Reno, we registered in one of the nicer hotels and stayed there for most of the following 3 days, just going out for our meals. On Monday, we left Reno for a short while and drove to the junction about 13 miles from Soda Springs. Eugene pointed out all the landmarks. This was where the train was to be stopped by pulling the emergency cord. Then on Tuesday, we went down to the train station and bought a ticket for the train leaving Thursday morning. On the way back to our hotel, we stopped in at one of the gambling casinos on the main street, and Eugene started putting nickels in the slot machine. Hey, Eugene, I surely hope you don't throw away your share of the money on things like this.
No need to worry about that, Cousin Walter. I'm for chickens. Well, day after tomorrow is the day.
Yeah, day after tomorrow.
How do you feel, Cousin Walter?
Well, excited. I don't know how to thank you, Eugene.
Oh, now there's no need for that.
And you're to be commended, too. Your plan is foolproof. Of course, I've never handled a gun before, but don't worry about that.
Did you say gun, Cousin Walter?
Well, yes.
Oh, I'm afraid you won't be handling the gun. I will.
Well, you'll be driving the car. You won't have need for a gun, Eugene.
But the positions are just reversed. I'll be on the train, and you'll be in the car.
Me in the car?
Oh, I'm sorry, Cousin.
Wait a minute. Eugene, you missed the most important part of our plan.
Huh?
This could very well cause it to fail.
Well, what are you talking about?
Identification. Our descriptions. Eugene, look at me.
What?
Look at me. All right, now describe me.
Well,
Go ahead, describe me. Look at me and describe me.
Well,
Go ahead.
well, you've got sandy hair.
That's right. And so have 2 million other men. Go ahead.
And,
And?
well, you're just sort of plain looking.
Exactly, Eugene. Exactly. Plain looking. Now, don't you see? When the guards on the train try to describe me to the authorities, they'll have a very difficult time. I certainly have no prominent marks or features to single me out from any other plain, sandy-haired man of 42 years, have I?
You know, Cousin Walter, I believe you've brought up a very important point.
Thank you, Eugene. So, I'll handle the gun and you'll drive the car.
Well, you don't think for 1 minute
That you're a coward? Oh, no, of course not. Wait a minute, Eugene. Let me pull the lever this time.
All right. What do you know about that?
You see, Cousin Eugene, we hit the jackpot. Our luck's already begun. We had dinner before we went back to the hotel. When we got back, Cousin Eugene drew out a diagram and we went over the plans again. All I was to take from the mail car was one money bag. Eugene figured that each bag ought to contain about $25,000. And with one half of that, he figured he could start a pretty good-sized chicken farm. It was close to 9 o'clock when Eugene shook me awake. This was the day. My heart was already starting to beat faster. I took a shower and shaved and got dressed. I put on my last clean white shirt. At breakfast, we went over our plan for the final time. Then we checked out of our hotel, put the bags in the car, and drove down to the station.
Don't forget to put the money in your suitcase, Cousin Walter.
Yes.
Are you nervous?
Yeah, a little.
Don't fire the gun, whatever you do. We don't want anyone to get hurt.
Yes, I understand.
Good. Now, remember, you've only got 10 minutes to get back to the mail car and get the money. 10 minutes, that isn't very long. Be sure and keep your eye on your watch.
I will. Keep my eye on my watch.
Good.
Well,
it's time.
Yes, it's time.
Yes.
I'd better get on.
Good luck, Cousin Walter.
Thank you, Eugene. Thank you. This was it. I found my seat and sat down. I was lucky. The seat was in the first car after the baggage car. I wouldn't have far to go. I could feel the perspiration running down my back. I was ruining my last clean white shirt. The 50 minutes before we got to Soda Springs seemed like 50 hours. Then we reached Soda Springs and the train slowed down. There were no passengers at the station, so the train didn't stop. It just slowed down. And then we were on our way again. My 10 minutes had begun. I made my way up to the baggage car, carrying the suitcase. The baggage man was reading a newspaper.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
I'd like to check this suitcase.
Forgot to at the station, huh? All right, hand it over here. I'll give you a baggage check.
Thank you.
Feels empty. You sure you wanted a check?
I'd appreciate it if you'd put your hands up.
What is this?
In simple language, a train robbery. Now, let's just start walking that way.
That's the mail car, mister.
I know.
Hey, now look.
Now, just do as I tell you and no one will get hurt. Walk in front of me. Now, knock and yell for the guards to open the door to the mail car.
They won't open it for me.
Oh, yes, I think they will. Now, knock.
Okay, mister. It's your funeral. Hey, Red, open up. It's Harold.
What do you want, Harold? There's nothing...
Pardon me, but would you put up your hands?
What are you talking about?
You'll force me to shoot this man. I wouldn't want to do that.
What is this?
A train robbery. Now, I'd appreciate it very much if you gentlemen would back up against that wall. That's it. Thank you. I'll just remove these guns from your holsters. I dislike bloodshed. And I'm afraid you gentlemen might be tempted. There we are. Now, let's see. Oh, yes. Here they are.
You're making a big mistake, mister.
You sound just like my wife. Now, let's see. Cousin said take just one bag. Now, there's so many, I think I'll take two. One apiece. I might as well. 1, 2.
How do you expect to get off the train, mister?
The emergency cord will take care of that. Now, I have one more favor to ask of you, sir. Kindly open this side door of the car.
He's going to jump. He's crazy.
No, not just yet. We have about 30 seconds to go. Now, the door, please. Open it. 15 seconds. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now! All right, now remain standing in that corner, both of you. Numbers from this distance.
Doesn't matter. I've got them covered up. Well, how'd it go?
Perfect, Eugene. Perfect. I will admit I had a few bad moments, I guess, but otherwise it was perfect. Look under these dirty shirts.
What? Well, you took 2 bags. But I told you only to take 1.
Yeah, I know, but I figured it'd be easier dividing it with 2 bags. We didn't even bother to stop for any sort of refreshments. We drove straight through to Sacramento. When we got there, Eugene thought we ought to separate, and we did. I hated to see Eugene go. I'd grown very fond of him in the short time we'd been in business together. But it was a separation that you might call a necessity. When I got back to Oakland, it was almost 4:30. A good time, I thought to myself. I'll have the whole weekend to rest up before I have to go back to work. The house looked the same as I drove up. Maybe now I'll have it painted, I thought to myself. There was a car parked in front of the house. It was probably another salesman. I took the suitcase with my share of the money in it from the back seat and walked up to the front door. I had a wonderful feeling inside.
Why, Walter! Walter, dear!
Hello, Bess.
Oh, Walter, where have you been?
Where have I been? Why, Bess, you know very well
You
where
look a mess, Walter, but I'm so glad to see you, dear.
Bess, what's wrong?
Oh, here, dear. Come on into the living room and sit down.
But, Bess, I don't understand why you're acting so hysterical. Really, I don't.
Here, Walter, put down your suitcase.
Well, Bess, who are these?
Oh, these gentlemen are from the police station, Walter.
The police station? Oh. Look, Bess, I think I'll go upstairs and get cleaned up a bit.
Oh, there's plenty of time for that later.
Well, Bess,
Now, you just tell me where you've been.
Yes, your wife has been worried about you.
Oh, well, look, Bess, I couldn't...
Yesterday I read in the paper where 2 men had been drowned at Lake Tahoe. They didn't know who they were. When I tried calling the Hillary Lodge, they told me you and Eugene weren't even registered there.
Oh, I see.
And I just got worried sick. So I called the police station. Oh, Walter, put down that suitcase and tell us what happened.
Well, later, Bess, later.
Oh, look at you, Walter. Your clothes all wrinkled, dirty shirt. Oh, you look a mess.
Well, Bess, I'm sorry you're worried about me like you did.
Well, I'm glad you're home. You won't be getting out of my sight again for a long time, I tell you that.
Mrs. Beaumont, we're very happy that your husband arrived home safely.
Oh, yes, I am too, officers. But look at the condition he's arrived in. Oh, I'll bet he doesn't even have a clean shirt for work Monday morning. Here, Walter, give me that suitcase.
No, wait, Bess.
Give it to me. I'll just get your dirty shirts out of this suitcase and get them in the washer.
Well, I guess you won't be needing us anymore, Mrs. Beaumont.
Bess, please. Please, Bess, don't open the suitcase. Bess, please.
Suspense. Presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Mr. Fred McMurray.
This is Harlow Wilcox speaking for Autolite, world's largest independent manufacturer of automotive electrical equipment. Autolite is proud to serve the greatest names in the industry. They are members of the Autolite family, as well as are the 98,000 Autolite distributors and dealers in the United States and thousands more in Canada and throughout the world. Our family also includes the nearly 30,000 men and women in 28 great Autolite plants from coast to coast and Autolite plants in many foreign countries, as well as the 18,000 people who have invested a portion of their savings in Autolite. Every Autolite product is backed by constant research and precision built to the highest standards of quality and performance. So remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
Next week, the story about a man who committed a murder and got away with it for quite a while. The story is called Public Defender. Our star, Mr. Robert Ryan. That's next week on Suspense. Suspense is produced by Elliott Lewis and was directed tonight by Norman MacDonald. Music was composed by Lucien Moravec and conducted by Lud Gluskin. Portions of the program were transcribed. The Great Train Robbery was written for Suspense by Richard George Pedicini. In tonight's story, Joseph Kearns was heard as Eugene. Featured in the cast were Paula Winslow, Jerry Hausner, and Hy Averback.
Fred McMurray may soon be seen in the Republic picture Fair Wind to Java.
And remember next week, Mr. Robert Ryan in Public Defender.
You can buy Autolite electrical parts, Autolite Stay-Full batteries, and Autolite resistor or standard type spark plugs at your neighborhood Autolite dealers. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
We thank the readers of Radio and TV Mirror magazine for again voting Suspense their favorite radio mystery program. You may read about the award in Radio and TV Mirror, now on the newsstands. This is the CBS Radio Network.
Arch Oboler's Plays. On the winds of the night, we bring you a story whispered in the night.
Let the democratic powers have no illusions. We cannot be intimidated. We are ready. Our manpower is ready. Our youth stands ready. A vital youth that has been tried and tested in the proving grounds, even as our armaments have been tested. A youth that understands the meaning of discipline, order, dynamic obedience to the leader and to the state. A youth that laughs with all of us at the weak decadence of democratic liberalism. A youth that lives, dares, does. The skies sing with their wings, the wings of courage and daring, bringing the truer civilization and liberty to people who wait for it eagerly and with hope. Yes, I repeat, even now, the skies sing with their wings, the wings of daring and ambition and glory.
Hello.
Yes, Captain. Isn't that the village?
No, I don't think so.
It is, I tell you.
But, Captain, the order says the village was won by a water hole. I see no water down there.
What is the difference?
For the orders.
I'm giving her orders. Drop down 500 feet. I don't want to miss the beggars.
As you say, Captain.
They're all the same anyway. What's the difference if it is another village? We need all our petrol to get back. All right. Level off. Hold it. 2 little presents, and home we go non-stop. I never disappoint a lady.
Should I keep circling?
Of course. Of course. This is the moment I like, Marlowe. My hand on the release lever. The leader is right. Power is the greatest thing in the world.
I know it is another village.
Marlowe, you're a fool. What difference does it make? The orders were to teach them a lesson. Well, one village is like another. Those beggars down there are the same breed. Hold it steady. The lesson begins. There. And again. Climb!
The order said we were to machine gun the man.
Machine gun what? 2 holes in the ground. Home, you old woman. And fast. She's very pretty. And not quite.
And there's all the world here. The contribution of our youth to the civilizing of forces is the one which all history will remember. It is an evidence of the revitalization of great ideals, the true ideals of power and force and the everlasting glory of righteous might. Youth, our glorious youth, flying free in its newfound purpose and ability. We salute you. We salute you.
Captain. Captain, wake up.
What do you want?
The wireless is not working again. If you were to take over, I will fix it.
All right. Fog, Marlowe.
Yes, Captain.
When did the fog come up?
While you were asleep.
I do not like fog. Well, haven't you got that wireless going yet?
It is no use. Resistance burned out. There is nothing I can do. The fog grows thicker.
I have eyes, haven't I? Here. You take over.
I was expecting
Shut your mouth. Here. Take over.
All right. Captain, do you remember the time in the Plaza of Heroes they gave you a medal because...
Stop talking. Put her up high.
Might as well. No clear sky down here. Is this high enough for you, Captain? Or does it make you dizzy?
Are you out of your head?
When the fog grows very thick, you lose your head, eh, Captain?
Shut your mouth. I order it.
I was remembering something else. 6 months ago, when the Minister of War made you the captain. Remember in his speech he said for courageous, skillful flying.
I warn you to stop talking.
For all these months I wanted to ask you one question, Vittoria. Whose was the skill and whose was the courage? Yours? Mine.
When we are on the ground...
If we are on the ground, it will be with my skill. Mine. Look. The fog grows thicker and thicker.
Stop.
You can see with your own eyes. Thick fog. Our wireless dead. If I turn the plane over to you now, would you be as brave as the medal says you are?
Close your mouth. For the last time, I tell you.
The brave Captain Victoria, who never flies alone.
Shut your mouth.
In the sun, it is your mouth that dares. In the fog, it is mine. A frightening thing, the fog, eh, Captain? Like something alive that comes out of the ground and tries to pull flyers down to the hole in hell where they come from.
Is there no way to close your mouth?
Why don't you blast a few holes now through the fog so we can see where we're going?
This is the last time you fly with me, Big Mouth. The last... Marlowe. What? Huh? Marlowe, the port engine.
Got the petrol.
What?
Petrol line broken. Close the valve.
Marlowe. Marlowe, falling.
Get away from me.
Can't see anything. The fog.
Stop pulling at me, you fool.
Marlowe, get me down. I don't want to die. I can't...
No, it's not a mark. Leave me alone. The fog.
See yourself. We're crashing it. I won't die. I can't.
Wait. Look. What? I saw them. Yes. They're over land.
No. There is nothing...
There is land, I tell you. I saw it.
Yes. I see it. Oh, I am safe. Huh? I won't die. I will get down. I will.
Down.
Down. We're down.
Yes.
I told you I would get you out of this. I told you. Marlow! Ahead! The wall! Stop! The wall! Stop!
Victor. 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 What?
It's Marlow. Where are you? So dark. Oh. I see you. Bed next to me.
Marlow. Victor.
You all right?
My legs broke.
So, my own pain is less now.
Oh, don't talk. Help.
No, Victoria. This honor is mine as well as yours.
Huh?
My legs, too.
You lie. You're all right. You want me to be in pain.
Stop it.
Jealous of my honors. You always were.
Stop it. Who wants to listen to you? I want to know what I am. I want to know how badly our ship was hurt when we got here. For long I was unconscious.
I have the pleasure of answering your questions, good gentlemen.
Who in Marlow? Who's there?
I don't know. So dark.
My name, gentlemen, is Frederick Gibbon, Doctor of Medicine.
Doctor?
Doctor. My legs, the pain.
Pain is quite secondary, believe me.
But you must stop it. At once. I order it.
Order?
Yes, order. You don't know who I am. I'm Captain Victor.
Wait. I assure you I know your identities quite well, good gentlemen.
What do you mean?
Your identification papers are quite in order. And now a little more light, perhaps?
Yes. It'll see you.
If you will pardon me.
No, stay.
The pain.
Shut your mouth, will you? How can he help us until he brings light?
But the pain.
Pain. Did you expect to fall into the clouds and wake up with the bands playing and a couple of women at your side?
How dare you?
You're a fool, Victor. Miracle happens to us. Smashing head on and then coming out of it with no more than broken bones. I tell you, it is a miracle.
Light.
Ah.
That was good. Only simple lanterns, but quite adequate, you will agree.
Doctor, whatever your name is, I am Captain of Aviation, an active duty for the commander.
I told you, I know.
When you know your duty, set my legs. Do you hear me?
What is your business, gentlemen?
But you said you knew who I was. My identification papers. You said it.
Yes, I said I knew who you were. But what is your business, gentlemen?
Aviators. I'm captain of...
Yes, a captain. But what is your business, Captain?
He wants to know what we do, Victor.
What is your business, gentlemen?
What is any aviator's business? To fly. But why do you stand there talking? My leg broken. Fix them.
Did you stop to fix the bones, Captain? After you dropped the bombs on them?
What do you know of that?
Your plane was smashed quite badly, gentlemen, but not completely. Yes, there were two miracles.
What do you mean?
What are you talking about?
That the crash did not kill either of you, and that one small messenger of your civilization that was strung to the belly of your plane did not blast you to death. It fell to the ground undamaged, unbroken, all of its explosive virility quite intact inside of its metallic loins. Poetic, that, eh?
One of my bombs.
Yes. One of your bombs. Quite unhurt.
But I'm hurt. Do you hear me? Fix my leg. Stop the pain.
But why? We here are like you, gentlemen. If bodies are broken, if pain is given, we go our calm way. We do not stop. Good day, gentlemen.
Wait. Marlowe, make him wait.
Wait, Doctor.
Doctor, come back. You can't leave me. Come back. I'm hurt. In pain. Help me. Are you crazy?
Yes, Captain. Yes, indeed. I am.
All right, Victor. All right. It grows less and less. Pain cannot go on forever. My legs are quite numb now. Yours will become that way, too.
The devil.
Strange day, this, huh? You and I were born of the devil to smash up and have a crazy man come to our rescue.
What time is it?
Time? Who knows?
That crazy old fool. Why does he want to talk?
Do not stop asking me why again, Victor. For a night I have been thinking those whys, and I know less than when I started. The man is crazy, that's all. When one is crazy, there are no whys.
He can't keep me here. Not me. I'll kill him.
Wait. Listen.
People.
Yes. Must be a street right below the window.
Get to the window, Marlowe. Get help.
If I throw something through the glass. Yes, the lamp.
No, stop.
Huh?
You'll bring the crazy devil up here.
That's our only chance.
No, he'll kill us. Do not throw it.
I will.
Hit it.
Yes, you did. Good, Marlowe, good.
Now, someone will come up here to help us. And that old devil, I will have him put away where he was. Huh?
Listen. I throw something through the glass, and everything below becomes quiet.
Why should that be?
Wait. Listen.
Like someone raising a ladder against the wall.
Yes.
Someone is coming. They'll help me.
Why a ladder?
You think it's the crazy?
You must have heard the glass breaking. Climbing up here to laugh at us.
No, it can't be him. My legs. I've got to have help. Daniel, I'm screaming.
Stop that! Look. Head coming up. Who?
No, it's not the crazy one. A girl.
Yes.
Come in, girl. Come in.
We need your help.
Yes, help. Call the police. Aviators. I am the aviator.
Come in, girl. We will not hurt you.
Don't sit there on the windowsill and stare at us, you fool. Don't you understand? I'm Captain Victoria.
Wait, Victoria. Wait. You frighten her. Come closer, girl. Closer. Look, my watch. I will give you this watch.
Pretty. You will give it to me?
Yes, of course he will. Give it to her, Marlowe.
Here, girl.
Pretty. You have other pretty things for me?
Yes. Here. Rings. My rings. There. Take them. Get help. Get me out of here.
Pretty. So pretty.
You simple little fool. Try to understand. Get me help. Get me out of here.
Pretty things. I like pretty things.
We'll get you plenty of pretty things. Cover you with them. Just go back the way you came and get help for me. Quickly.
I had so many pretty things.
Yes, but hurry, girl. Go quickly. Get me help.
I want more pretty things.
In my pocket, huh? Let's see. It hurts so to move. I have nothing. Marlowe, you give her...
Oh, you know I cannot move.
Pretty wings.
Yes, the wings on my tunic. You can have them. Here.
Pretty. empty.
Now go. Do you hear? Go get help.
Will they take these away from me, too?
What is she talking about?
I don't know.
I had so many pretty things. They took everything away. All my pretty things. It dropped from the sky. And when it was gone, everything was gone. Everything was gone.
Stop crying. Who took what away from you?
From the sky. From the sky.
Marlowe. This one's crazy too.
Now, good gentlemen, it is time again to talk.
I'll kill you, I'll kill you.
You know, that's why I like you, Marrow.
Well?
Your captain is so overly dramatic. Kill you, he says to me. It is quite foolish and unnecessary, don't you think so?
You devil, you keeping me here, not getting help. What are you trying to do? Cripple me for life?
I am doing nothing.
What are you going to do with us?
Money. I'll get you money. Just get me out of here. Money.
In this community, those silly little pieces of paper and metal are quite useless.
Ah, you're crazy.
True enough. But haven't either of you discovered the greater truth?
Truth? What truth?
That everyone in this community is crazy.
Everyone? Crazy?
Oh, yes, indeed.
It cannot be.
But it is.
No, you're the only one.
How many times must I say it? This is my community, and we are all quite mad.
Where are we?
Or normal, all depending on the viewpoint.
Where is this place?
Ah, that's my little secret.
Secret? What do you mean?
Quite a long way from your civilization, and a high wall circles us. Remember, your airplane crashed into it?
Oh.
You see, my dear gentlemen, a long time ago, the people of what was once known as the normal world decided that I wasn't quite normal, so they were going to put me away. But I escaped them. Oh, quite cleverly. And I decided to make a world of my own. That is, a world normal to me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's simple. In a community where all men are mad, none are mad. Understand?
Get us out of here.
Quiet, Victoria. Listen to him.
Yes, listen to me. What was I saying? Oh, yes. So I discovered this place, and I settled here. But after a while, I grew quite lonely. And I thought to myself, why shouldn't I find others like myself? People again, I use the phrase, people the so-called normal world called abnormal. But it was quite difficult to find enough of them and to get them to come to my little utopia. Until you fixed it.
We? Madman. What have we to do with you?
I mean you and your kind. Remarkable how many people in this world became abnormal as soon as your sort began to... What is the word you use? Began to enlighten the world.
Marlowe, make him stop talking.
No, I want to hear him.
Yes, hear me out. Remarkable how many people became like I am as soon as the enlightenment of brutality and conquest and domination, and above all, the enlightenment of flying bombs came upon them. Oh, I soon had more than enough candidates for my little community. Yes, indeed.
You can't keep us here.
No, not me. You can't.
But you surprise me, good gentleman. This is the ideal place for you.
What does he mean?
I mean that here in my little crazy town, we live and love and kill as our fancy strikes, without even the necessity of slogans and catchphrases with which to quiet the conscience. Oh, you'll want to stay with us, gentlemen.
Not me.
I won't stay here, you crazy old devil, you.
But are you so different, gentlemen?
That's sane.
And so am I.
But your business, Captain. Is it sane to fly the skies, to bring death to creatures made in your own image? To kill women and children?
We do our duty.
No man has a duty beyond what he knows is right. And since you do what you do, it must be because you believe it is right to kill and destroy, with no more reason than the dictum of ambitious, power-mad men. So I assure you, gentlemen, you are one of us. And so you will stay.
No, you can't keep me here.
Against our will.
Yes, your legs will mend, so you must want to stay. For if you go and give away our little secret, that would be most unfortunate for the rest of us. Oh, it's very definite, good gentlemen. You must want to stay.
Not in a madhouse.
Not me.
Gentlemen, good gentlemen, you make me weary and angry explaining. I tell you, you and yours are like us. The Prince of Normal Men said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." And you say, "Blessed are they that take with force." So how can you be normal?
If I had a gun...
A gun. Now, that's another thing. The Prince of the Normal said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." And you say, "Blessed are the war makers." Now, that proves that you're like us.
Stop it! Get us out of
He
here!
said, "Blessed are they that are persecuted for righteousness' sake, and blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and say all manner of evil against you. But you are the persecutors, good gentlemen, so you are one of us. I welcome you. We all welcome you. Come in, ladies and gentlemen."
Huh? Who are they?
Tell us, who are they?
They are like you, the nobility of unreason. They have come to welcome you, gentlemen.
Hello. What? So dark. Leaving it for hours. The devil in hell, what is he up to?
Shut your mouth. If I go crazy, it will be you driving me to it.
He and those other crazy ones. Bringing us here and leaving us. Planning our death. I know it. Marla, tell me. What are they up to?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
What's that?
What?
Someone came into the room.
No. No one.
Listen.
I hear. Who's there? Who's there? Woman. Yes. Who are you? What do you want? Victoria.
What does she say?
I don't know. She... What is it? What? Something in the wrong. I can't see anything so dark. Oh, no. I'm not afraid of her. The child. The child in her arms. Oh. Come closer, woman.
What do you want her for?
She can help us. Closer. Woman, closer. Woman, stop moaning to that child and listen. Listen. Help us get out of here, and we'll give you money. We'll get...
Victoria, what?
In her arms. Look, I can't twist around my leg. Woman, get away. Get away.
Victoria, what is it?
What? Arms.
You said the child.
No. Woman, get away.
Tell me what?
Bomb.
Eat a bomb.
Bomb. You have gone mad.
No. Now see for yourself, see.
Oh!
The bomb he stole us sent from our plane without exploding.
Come on, woman, get out of here with that thing. Get out.
Get out with that woman, get out. You set it off. You get off.
No, wait, reason with her. Woman, what are you saying? Why do you carry that bomb?
Baby. My baby.
Baby. No, it's a bomb. Do you hear me? A bomb.
Baby.
Put it down. If it goes off, it will kill you.
My baby. My baby. Something fell from the sky that day.
Victoria. She's crazy, too.
Oh, this is my baby now.
No.
My little baby.
No.
Baby.
Don't touch the percussion head. It will go off. Marla, get up. Take it away from her. My legs, I can't move. No. Don't touch it, woman. Don't.
play Crazy Town was especially written for radio by Arch Oboler and featured Edmund O'Brien, Charlotte Manson, Paul Stewart, John Brown, and Betty Kane.
A Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now for the Whistler's strange story. So soon.
Ted Gray had music in his heart. He heard a melody in the rustle of every leaf, saw a song in the bend of every river. A few years ago, Ted teamed up with lyric writer Al Wilson. And now Ted Gray and Al Wilson formed one of the most successful songwriting combinations in the profession. As Ted played for the 100th time his latest composition, titled So Soon, his mood was one of major harmony, except for one thing, his partner. For months, his dislike for Al Wilson had been growing. And now you almost hate him, don't you, Ted? You hate him because of his slow, methodical, painstaking rhyming, his even disposition. But most of all, because you're almost certain he's captured the love of the only girl you've ever truly cared for. Corinne Mitchell, once your copyist and part-time secretarial helper, now the head of her own publicity bureau.
Hi, Ted. Sorry I'm late.
You're always late. Did you finish the lyrics?
Yeah, all but a couple of lines.
Well, you've been playing around with them for 3 weeks.
I know, but you knocked out a great tune this time, kid, and I want to be sure the lyrics are just as good as the tune.
That would be a novelty.
I don't know. You've done all right with me.
I know a couple of composers who've done just as well and paid a lot less. You're getting 50% of the royalties. Why, Regan only gets 20% of the lyrics he writes for Joe Winslow's tunes.
Well, why don't you get Eddie Regan to write your lyrics?
He's under contract to Winslow.
Oh, we got a contract, too, 50%, remember? And it's that or nothing. Any time you want to call off the whole thing, well, all you have to do is say so. Incidentally, mentioning our contract reminds me of a change I want.
What kind of a change?
Well, that clause that if one of us dies, the other gets complete ownership of all of our numbers.
How come you want that change all of a sudden? Neither of us has any near relatives. Nobody close enough to leave anything to.
Well, I expect to have a near relative soon. A very near relative. A wife.
Who's the lucky girl?
Corinne.
Corinne?
Yeah, Corinne.
You're engaged?
Well, not yet, but I'm going to ask her as soon as I see her.
And you think she'll say yes?
I think so.
Oh, you slay me, Al.
What's so funny?
Well, I got news for you. Corinne's going to marry me.
Funny she didn't say anything to me about that last night.
Oh, not so funny. I asked her not to say anything until we got So Soon rolling.
Well, I'll believe that when she tells me.
She'll tell you, Al.
She'll have a chance when she gets back from that publicity trip to Seattle.
Well, that's all right with me. Meantime, how about finishing those lyrics? With Corinne out of town, there's nothing to distract you. And Marcia Wallace promised she'd sing it at her opening at the Club Rio a week from Saturday night, if we finish it.
All right, Ted. I'll try to finish it.
Well, I wish you would. Once we get the song going, we can go into that contract thing. It'll only be a week or 10 days. By that time, Corinne ought to be back, too.
That I'm not forgetting. Okay. It's a deal.
Good. I'll drop by your place in a couple of days. By then, you ought to have the lyrics finished. Okay?
Right.
As the door closes behind your partner, you realize for the first time how much you really hate him. How easy things would be for you if something happened to Al. You would be sole owner of all the songs you now own jointly, wouldn't you, Ted? And with Al out of the way, you're certain Corinne would marry you in a moment. Then it hits you. Something must happen to Al before Corinne returns, and before your royalty contract is changed. You're startled as you realize you're thinking of murder. You've never even imagined yourself as a killer. Neither has anyone else, have they, Ted? No. And you're certain they never will. That's why you feel sure you can remove Al and get away with it. You think about it for a couple of days and then phone Al.
Hello?
Hello, Al. Ted. Oh, how are you coming on the lyrics for so soon?
Oh, I think I'll finish it tomorrow. I only need one line. So I'm going to stick here all day if I have to. I won't even answer the phone.
Good idea. Now, let's see. Tomorrow's Friday. I'll take it out to Lou late in the afternoon. He'll get the lead sheet out Saturday morning. That'll give Marcia time to learn it before her opening at the Club Rio.
Plenty of time. I think I'll have it tomorrow, Ted.
Well, hop to it, kid. Phone me when it's finished.
When you hang up the phone, you realize the time has arrived, don't you, Ted? You pace the floor of your apartment most of the night. And by morning, you're satisfied your plan will succeed. At 10 o'clock, you pick up the phone again.
Central Publishing.
Hi, Gracie. Ted Gray.
Hello, Ted.
Is the boss in?
Not yet.
How about Frankie?
Nobody here but me. They're both tied up until after lunch, about 3.
3 it is. I'll run by Al's place. Have lunch with him. Pick up the lyrics of So Soon if he's finished them.
That'll make Lou real happy.
Me too, honey child. See you around 3.
Because everyone believes you're the closest of friends, you're certain you can kill Al Wilson and get away with it, aren't you, Ted? You won't make the mistake most criminals make. Prepare a perfect alibi, make elaborate plans, and then trip yourself. No, your alibi will actually be imperfect. But you'll plan your day hour by hour. Your routine will be the average routine of a normal day. Yes, your every action will be the very opposite of anyone planning a crime. The simple audacity of your act will be your insurance of success. You'll simply kill your partner as close to 3 o'clock as you can. Go straight from his apartment to Central Publishing, where you'll wait your usual 20 minutes or more for Lou. When news of Al's death breaks, you will be as surprised and shocked as anyone. You finish dressing, eat a leisurely breakfast, read the paper, and then take step 1 in your plan. 3 hours before you plan to kill him, you drive over to the drugstore next door to Al's apartment building around lunchtime.
Hi, Mr. Adams.
Oh, hello, Ted. Just missed your partner.
Al?
Mm-hmm.
I was on my way to Al.
Hey, he said he had to work all afternoon in the lyrics to your new number.
Well, then I guess I'll take him to lunch.
Huh?
Give him straight for the job. You better let me have a carton of cigarettes, too, Mr. Adams.
Yeah, check.
Well, Ted, you now have at least one reputable witness who, if needed, will testify you were on the way to Al's place to take him to lunch. You leave the drugstore, and just in case the druggist is watching, you enter Al's apartment building, then walk straight through the downstairs hallway to the rear entrance. You hurry down the alleyway to the boulevard where you've parked your car. Drive aimlessly for an hour or so, then return to your own apartment building, where you make certain another reputable witness will be able to testify that you were at home after your midday visit to Al.
Come in. Oh, good afternoon, Mr. Gray.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Carter. I was just wondering if you might have a larger apartment vacant, one with an extra bedroom.
Well, I will have on the first of the month. Do you have some friends?
No. Al and I thought we might get more work done if we lived in the same place. I just had lunch with Al.
Oh, this will be perfect for you two bachelors. I can't show it to you right now. But
That's all right. It's all right. I want Al to see it anyway. Besides, I've got a little copying to do. Then I've got to get out to Central Publishing. I just wanted to make sure you had one. We'll take a look at it Sunday.
Well, Ted, your plans are now complete. You have witnesses as to your whereabouts at 2 highly important times. You pace the floor of your apartment, watch the clock. Finally, the minute arrives. And at 10 minutes before 3, you walk down the alleyway in the rear of Al's apartment building. Hurry upstairs to the second floor.
Oh, hello, Ted. Come on in.
Well, how are you coming on that line?
I got it.
Well, let's hear it.
Why must I end my dreams so soon? Like it?
Why must I end my dreams so soon? That's okay. Just can't figure out how it took you so long.
Well, you see, Corinne and I...
Well, I don't want to talk about Corinne now.
Well, Corinne and...
Forget Corinne for now. Look, I'll take this lead sheet out to Lou North right away. He'll get it to Marshal Wallace.
Okay, Ted.
Look, Al, I had to skip lunch today. Have you got anything to eat in the kitchen?
Oh, yeah, there's some cheese and bread back there.
Well, that's enough for me.
But it isn't food you're after, is it, Ted? No, you know exactly what you're looking for. And you find it in a drawer of Al's kitchen cabinet, the bread knife. Then you return to the living room.
Find anything?
I found what I was looking for, Al.
What do you mean? Well, what's the matter with you? Wait a minute. Listen to me. Ted!
It's done, isn't it, Ted? Now you must be careful to establish the one important time factor of your day's activity. You drive quickly to an outside phone booth half a block from Central Publishing.
Operator,
Hello, police headquarters.
just a moment.
Police headquarters, Sergeant Quinn speaking.
Hello. There's a dead man in apartment 203 in the Cheswell Apartments on Los Palmas.
Who is this? Who's talking?
That's something you'll never know, Sergeant.
Well, Ted, it's going beautifully, isn't it? You've removed Al Wilson, and you're certain you'll never be suspected, aren't you? It's all been timed so smoothly. Within a minute after your call to the police from a public phone booth, you're at the Central Publishing offices. You planned things perfectly, didn't you? Your innocent actions throughout the day, your purchase of cigarettes before noon, your inquiry about the apartment after lunch. Yes, Ted, all that's required now is a quick finding of the body, which, of course, your phone call is taking care of. You're confident as you stroll into Central Publishing, almost on time for your 3 o'clock appointment.
Hello, Angel. Boss here?
Always on time, Teddy, they call him. No, Lou's not here yet.
Well, that's all right. How about old Tennessee Frankie?
He's here. Frankie?
Yeah?
Ted Gray's here.
Be right out. Hi, Ted. How you, boy? What you got?
Oh, just another moneymaker for Central.
So soon?
Yep, so soon. Did you tell Lou about it?
No, you did. 30 or 40 times. Come on back. Let's take a listen. Sounds like it might go.
Well, is that the best you can say about it?
That's the best I can say about any song. You never know.
Well, look, how about getting a lead sheet on it right away, will you, Frankie?
Sure.
You know, I put on that line Al was having so much trouble with myself. I saw him just before lunch. He was still having trouble, so I knocked it out myself. Why must I end my dream so soon? You like it?
Sounds all right.
Well, I'm glad you like it. I'll pick up the lead sheets tomorrow,
Okay.
You want it on the phone, Ted?
Okay, why all the excitement?
It's the police department.
Oh, okay, take it easy. I haven't robbed any banks.
It's about Al.
Al, what's the matter with him?
I don't know. The officer found out you were Al's partner. He wanted to know if you were here. Maybe he's had an accident.
Accident? Oh, no, not Al. He's too careful. Hello? Yes. Yes. What? Couldn't be. Murdered? Oh, no. No. No, I'll be right down. Al's dead.
Al?
Yeah.
But how?
The cops say he was murdered.
You say you saw your partner this morning, Mr. Gray?
Yeah, that's right, Lieutenant. I got over there about 11:45.
Mm-hmm. He was all right?
Oh, fine. Fine. He was trying to finish the lyric to our latest number. We needed only one line, so we made a couple of sandwiches and ate them in the apartment and worked on it.
Can you prove you were there at that time?
No, I can't prove it, but I think Mr. Adams, the druggist, will tell you I bought some cigarettes just before I went to Al's.
I see. How long were you in Al's apartment?
Oh, not very long. A few minutes after we finished eating, the line came to me, and I went home. Mm-hmm. Typed out the complete lyric and took it to Central Publishing Company.
You can prove this?
Well, no, Lieutenant. After all, I wasn't planning on having to account for my time. But wait a minute. I can prove I came back to my apartment after I had lunch with Al. I talked with Mrs. Carter, the apartment manager, about a larger apartment.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll check on your statement. The important thing is, where were you at 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock? Central Publishing, yeah. I guess there's no way I can prove it. Unless the receptionist, she remembered
We'll question her, of course. Oh, you're not under suspicion, Mr. Gray, any more than anyone else.
I realize that, Lieutenant.
But we do have to investigate every angle. Well, thanks for your cooperation. If we have any more questions, we'll phone you.
And if I think of anything important, I'll phone you. Anything I can do to help catch Al's killer will be a pleasure.
You return to your apartment, certain you're beyond the slightest suspicion. Next day, you phone Central Publishing, learn that the police have double-checked your statements, and smile when you realize that Gracie, the receptionist, verified that you were at Central Publishing at the time Al Wilson was killed. 2 days later, you receive a shock. You phone Corinne's office, learn she returned from Seattle the morning Al was killed, that she tried to phone you, and then left for San Diego the same evening. You get her San Diego address, send her a telegram. Tell her to be sure and be back in time for Marcia's opening at the Club Rio. The following Saturday night finds the two of you sharing a table there.
You know, Ted, it seems... Well, I don't know. It was only last week that Al...
Don't worry about it, honey. Al and I both promised Marcia she could sing it the minute we finished it. He wouldn't have it any other way, believe me.
No, I suppose not.
Now, look, Corinne. Al was the closest friend I ever had. We both agreed that, if anything ever happened to either one of us, the other go right ahead.
I know.
Sure you do. Naturally, you feel low, honey. Being in love with Al and...
No, Ted. I was fond of Al, but I'm surprised you thought that. I thought you knew how I felt.
Oh, you mean me, Corinne?
Let's talk about it some other time.
Oh, but
Please, Ted.
Well, of course, honey, of course. Only you've made me happier than I've ever been.
Ted.
Yeah?
When did you tell me you finished that lyric?
Why, just after lunch, the day I was killed. The line just came to me. Why must I end my dreams so soon? Look, here's the original typewritten copy. I got it back from the publisher a couple of days ago. He sent Marcia a lead sheet.
Ted,
Huh?
Listen to me a minute.
Now, look, honey, we'll talk later. You're all excited now, so am I. And look, you stay here, catch things from out front. I'm going backstage to see Marcia for a minute. Well, do you mind?
No, Ted, I don't mind.
Good. I'll be right back after Marcia finishes, okay?
Okay.
Oh.
What's so amusing, Ted?
Nothing's amusing, honey. Only it's just like you said. Okay. After what you told me a few minutes ago, I'm sure everything's going to be okay from now on out.
Well, Ted, you're certain you've won, aren't you? You have complete ownership of So Soon and all the other songs fashioned by you and your late partner. And you learned just a few moments ago that lovely Corinne Mitchell, the one woman you've ever really loved, feels the same way about you. Standing in the wings of the semi-dark stage, your pulse quickens as the spotlight reaches Marcia Wallace and the orchestra goes into the introductory bars of So Soon.
That we are all through. So soon to say that you found someone new. So soon to leave me so lonely and blue. Why must I end my dream so soon? It was just yesterday. In your arms I heard you say you'd love me forever. Your forever meant a day. Others are waiting to sing me love's tune, but I can't forget our love so soon. I can't forget our love so soon.
I beg your pardon. Honey, it went great, didn't it? Say, did you... Oh, I'm sorry, Corinne. I was so excited I didn't notice
That's
it.
all right, Ted. This is Lieutenant Roberts. Homicide.
Yeah, we've met before.
Well, I knew Marcia was going to slay him tonight, but I didn't think she'd be arrested for it.
She won't be.
I called the police, Ted, just after you went backstage.
You? But why?
Because you killed Al Wilson.
Me? Oh, you're crazy, Corinne.
It was you. It had to be you.
Now, look,
That
Corinne.
new line you said you wrote, why must I end my dreams so soon? That was the tip-off, Ted. You said a little while ago you wrote that line right after lunch the day Al was killed.
That's right, I did.
Your line, Ted. When you handed me this typewritten copy a few minutes ago, you told me the whole story. That line wasn't even Al's line. It was mine. It came to me about 2 o'clock the day Al Wilson was killed. 2 hours after you say you saw Al for the last time. I typed it on my portable. Then I took it over to Al.
You? You went to Al's apartment?
Yes. I called you earlier. Couldn't get you, so I drove over to Al.
Well, maybe I did lie about the song, but that doesn't prove that I...
It proves enough that I'm arresting you for the murder of Al Wilson, Mr. Gray.
You see, Ted, I reached Al's apartment about 2:30 and left about 2:45. The coroner says Al was killed around 3.
Well, maybe he was. And at 3 o'clock...
You
I
were
was
in
over
Al's apartment. You had to be. Only 2 people besides me could have possibly known that line, Ted. Al Wilson and the man who killed him.
Whose strange story you have just heard, will be back next week with another tale from his never-ending file. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.
This is Orson Welles, speaking from London. Here in the grim stone structure on the Thames, which houses Scotland Yard, is a warehouse of homicide. Where everyday objects, a woman's purse, a man's glove, a child's shoe, all are touched by murder. silencer. It was made to fit an army rifle. Made for a killer. For striking unseen and unheard. In the dark, perhaps. Interesting little instrument. A scientific gadget to absorb sound, to change a sharp, cracking report into a muffled gasp.
I suppose I'm being rather subjective about this, Sergeant. But I find myself hating that silencer.
Yes, I understand how you feel, Inspector. A silencer, well, it's filthy, isn't it? It's something like a rattlesnake.
No, Sergeant, your simile's wrong. A rattlesnake gives warning before he strikes. He plays fair.
Today, that silencer can be seen here in the Black Museum.
From the annals of the Criminal Investigation Department of the London Police, we bring you the dramatic stories of the crimes recorded by the objects in Scotland Yard's Gallery of Death, the Black Museum. In just a moment, you will hear The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles. The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles.
Well, here we are, in the Black Museum. Scotland Yard's Museum of Murder. Here lies death, violent death. In many guises, the long history of a great number of very murderous deeds. On the shelves, on the tables, in the very air itself. Now, this elephant gun here, this was once used for hunting by a sportsman bred in the very best traditions. Later used to shoot a friend in the back. Here we are, a silencer. Metal tubes within tubes, small and stubby, designed to swallow sound. There was a weapon, too, of course, but no one thought of a weapon or of a silencer. The night Herbert and Josie Martin returned from a party to their new home in the equally new residential development in the suburbs of London.
Oh, it was a fine party, Josie, but I don't mind telling you I'm dead for sleep.
Oh, yes. Oh, I like the new neighbors, but business days are no time for housewarming.
At the rate these new houses are renting, we'll be going to house parties for weeks on end. Might as well make up our minds to it.
A man and his wife, tired in a pleasant sort of way, pleased at meeting their new neighbors and preparing for sleep. Normal, quiet, nice people in a new home. Nothing spectacular. No hint of headlines. No thought of death.
Sure the doors are locked, Herbert?
Yes.
Oh, dear, please pull down the blind, because if it blows up during the night, it'll flap out the window and wake us, like last time.
Oh, all right. If you didn't insist on opening the windows from the top, Josie, the blinds wouldn't blow.
Herbert! Herbert, what is it? Herbert! What is it? What's taken you? Oh! Oh!
A man reaches up to pull down a window blind. The lighted lamp is behind him. A bullet stars the window pane. The man is dead. A short while later, a telephone rings in an office in Scotland Yard.
Inspector Foster here.
Sergeant Williams speaking, sir.
There's a call come through from Hempstead Oval. Herbert Martin, shot as he was pulling down the blind in his bedroom.
Anyone with him?
His wife, sir.
Any other witnesses?
No, sir, not at the moment.
Very well, Williams. Bring a car round and we'll have a look at the situation. I realize this has been a terrible shock, Mrs. Martin, but we need your help at once.
Oh, anything, Inspector. Anything at all.
Did your husband have any enemies that you know of?
Oh, no, no one. No one.
Any trouble in his business?
No, nothing, no.
What was his business?
Insurance. Accident, mostly. It was going on so well, that's how we could afford to move out here.
Then you've only come here recently.
3 months ago. We were one of the first tenants. It seemed such a nice place. Everything so new.
Questions and more questions. But there was obviously nothing Mrs. Martin could tell the inspector. All she knew was what she'd seen. One point puzzled him. The inspector came back to it several times.
And you're certain, Mrs. Martin, that you heard no shot?
No, nothing. Just the sort of noise of the glass and then
Well, it's possible, sir. At extreme range, the sound of a shot might have followed the arrival of the bullet.
Mrs. Martin?
No, I'm sure. I'd have noticed. I thought it seemed so strange. There wasn't any sound. Just the hole in the window and my husband sort of crumpling up and falling.
Well, that's not much to go on. Perhaps the bullet will tell us something. Meanwhile, we'll do our best, Mrs. Martin. We'll try to do our best.
There was very little for the police to start on. A close scrutiny of Herbert Martin's life brought nothing to light. Martin's manner of living, the conduct of his business were exemplary. His friends, his business associates, his new neighbors, all had nothing but praise for Herbert Martin. Death had come out of the dark. This alone was ground for speculation, particularly among the neighbors. Sidney and Elizabeth Davis, brother and sister, were no exceptions.
I can't help think, Sidney. It's so peaceful here. And that poor man barely in his grave. Well, it is pleasant. Or it would be if it... Only... Do you suppose his poor wife will keep the house now?
I doubt it. But perhaps if you offered to help her, Elizabeth...
Well, I have. It will take her quite a while to make up her mind.
I see.
You see, she's all alone, poor soul. Sidney, I can't help but wonder... You know,
What is it, Elizabeth?
I had the strangest...
What?
It's Shabbos. Oh, Sidney.
Elizabeth.
Oh, help me. Help me.
Elizabeth.
Death had come to Hampstead Oval once again.
And you're absolutely sure you heard no shot, Mr. Davis?
Absolutely, Inspector. One moment my sister was speaking to me about Mrs. Martin. The next moment she was dying in my arms. There was no sound, and only the blood.
I see. Mr. Davis, do you know the people who live in this development?
Nearly all of them. We felt rather like pioneers, I suppose, with the development being so new. We all became friendly.
And perhaps you can tell me, are there any ex-servicemen living here?
Yes, there are 2. Nice chaps. Wives and children, you know. May I ask why you inquire?
Because the bullet which killed Mr. Martin came from an Arnie-issue rifle, and I suspect the same thing will be found true in your sister's case. If it is true, we'll have that much at least to go on.
More, the markings on both bullets were identical. The same weapon had been used. Inspector Foster sent Detective Sergeant Williams visiting.
Yes? Are you Thomas Larkin?
I am.
Excuse me, sir. I'm Detective Sergeant Williams, CID. Here are my credentials.
Oh, come in, Sergeant. Will you come into the living room?
I'll only keep you a moment, Mr. Larkin. I want to speak about the Martin and Davis murders.
Yes, of course.
Do you happen to have a rifle in your possession, sir?
No, I gave all that up when I was discharged. If I never see a weapon again, it'll be too soon.
I believe your husband is an ex-serviceman, Mrs. Goodson.
Yes, he is. 5 years of service, 8th Army, under General Montgomery.
I see. Now, tell me, did he by any chance retain any weapon when he left the service?
No.
Is there any weapon in your house that you know of?
Yes. a Webley.
Oh, really?
Well, frankly, my husband insists we keep it. He's got a license for it, but it frightens me half to death just to have it in the house. What with the children around and all. Oh, Sergeant, are all of us in danger here?
Oh, you needn't worry.
Don't you have any idea who or what may be behind these dreadful shootings?
Nothing, sir. I drew a complete blank.
I rather thought you would. Incidentally, pathology found the Davis bullet and ballistics reports it's identical with the one they recovered from Martin's body.
Well, whoever he is, he's a fabulous shot, sir.
And he uses a silencer. That's the only explanation I have for the absence of sound.
Not very much to go on.
Inspector Foster here.
This is Mrs. Thomas Larkin, Inspector. My husband and I live on Hempstead Oval.
Yes, Mrs. Larkin, I know. What can I do for you?
Well, Mr. Larkin and I have called a meeting at our house for this evening. We hoped you and Sergeant Williams could be with us.
What's the purpose of your meeting, Ma'am?
Oh, the entire development is living in fear, Inspector. We want to try to find some way to protect ourselves. We thought you might have some advice to offer.
I'm somewhat doubtful about the advice, Mrs. Larkin. But Sergeant Williams and I will be at your meeting. Have you set a time for it as yet?
They came that evening to the Larkin living room. Inspector Foster waited in the hallway with the Larkins.
Is everyone here, Mr. Larkin?
I think so, sir.
Mr. Munden said he'd be over. His wife wanted to stay with their little boy.
Well, he's the only one missing, then.
Yes, that's right.
How did you reach these people? By telephone?
It's not much trouble to do that. We're all on party lines.
I see.
Someone's at the back door, Tom.
Must be Munden. I'll get it.
If you'll excuse me, Mrs. Larkin.
Yes, of course. Go ahead, Inspector.
Funny, coming to the back door. I told his wife particularly about the front door and the precautions.
No matter. At least I don't believe it will matter.
Here we are. Hello, Munden. Glad you could make it.
Sorry I'm late, Larkin. I rather thought the back way would present less opportunity for this unknown marksman to...
Munden, good grief.
Shut that door, Larkin. You're a perfect target yourself standing there.
Today, that silencer can be seen here in the Black Museum.
In just a moment, we will continue with The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles. And now we continue with The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles.
Neighbor Munden was dead. The rifle bullet neatly placed in the back of his head. The silent marksman was another story entirely. Who he was, where he was, why he struck, were the unanswered questions which Inspector Foster had to face as he stood before the terror-stricken residents of Hempstead Oval.
All I can say is that the police are doing anything and everything to find this killer.
And in the meantime, Inspector?
I'll answer that. In the meantime, we can all be picked off as my sister was, or Martin, or Munden.
Yes, he's right, Inspector. I, for one, won't leave my children open to the risk of being orphaned, or worse.
No. Oh, no.
Moving away, giving up your homes, won't find the murderer. I'm asking you, all of you, to do something quite difficult under present circumstances. I want you to stay here for another few days. Be patient. Remain indoors at night. Stay away from doors and windows. If it's possible to find him, and that is always possible, we'll do it. I promise you this. that the entire machinery of the London...
They watched him, the good neighbors of Hempstead Oval, with doubt and fear in their eyes. But they did as Inspector Foster asked. They stayed in their homes and waited. The welcome light of morning found the inspector and his sergeant with Tom Larkin in the kitchen of his home.
You're about the same height as Munden, aren't you, Larkin?
Just about.
Good. Sergeant?
Yes, sir?
Set up the transit here where Munden was standing when he was hit and adjust its height for Mr. Larkin.
Very good, sir.
A surveyor's transit in my kitchen? I don't understand, Inspector.
You will shortly. Almost ready, Sergeant?
Yes.
The men worked quickly, methodically. The transit was set up, the lens of its telescope facing the open back door. Inspector Foster adjusted the eyepiece and then slowly scanned from lintel to lintel through the open doorway. Back he moved the instrument, adjusting it vertically as well as horizontally, turning the brass thumb screw carefully, precisely. Stepped away from the transit.
That seems to be the best possibility, Sergeant. See for yourself.
Thank you, sir. Yes, it lines up well. The angle seems to be about right.
Shall we have a look at it?
Yes.
Care to come with us, Larkin?
Yes, I would.
There's a tree out there with a clear line of fire right through your back door. The distance seems to be about 500 yards.
So that's what the transit was for.
Exactly. Let's go, shall we? Too bad it's been so dry lately. There might have been footprints.
Marks on the tree trunk, sir.
Where?
Here. Look, notice a scraping on this bark, sir. There's someone in heavy boots that climbed the tree, and it's recent, too.
Here for a boost up, Sergeant?
Yes, sir. All right. That's it, sir. Hey, there are more marks up here, sir. Quite a comfortable perch. Hello, the limb forks here. Scratches on the bark. Could have been a rifle rested here.
Very good. Come on down, Sergeant.
Right.
Inspector, I may have found something over here, under this branch.
Don't touch anything, Larkin.
Right here, look. In the weeds. Looks like a rifle cartridge to me. Brass. The sun caught it.
Good man. Good eyesight. Take care of that, Sergeant.
All right, sir.
Once we find the rifle and its owner, that bit of brass may well send him up 13 steps early one morning.
Starting from nothing, the facts were coming together one by one. In the quiet office at the yard.
The boot marks on the tree trunk, Sergeant. They were rather close to the ground. I noticed your first jump was at least 2 feet higher.
Yes, I wasn't carrying a rifle, sir.
No, but a man of average weight and good condition would have made markings closer to yours. I'd say this fellow was either very heavy or not exactly young. Or past middle age, at least.
The beginnings of a description.
Either military or hunting experience to be able to shoot like that at night.
The beginnings of a background.
Whoever it was must have lived in that area for some time to know the position of that tree in relation to Larkin's back door. Start a quiet house-to-house check, Williams.
Very good, sir.
Have the men watch for anyone who fits these points.
Yes, sir.
Then find me a detailed ordnance map of Hempstead Oval. The builder or the renting agent will have one. We find one sniper's perch. I'm curious about the other. Interesting layout architecturally, according to the contour of the land. The main line of the houses seems to curve round this rise just off center.
It must have been quite a place in the old days.
Oh?
The builder told me. An estate sold for taxes. Family named, Wardman. Old line. The grant went back nearly to the first Queen Elizabeth.
History. Fascinating. Any more?
Yes, quite a talkative fellow. Seems the land was sold on condition that the sole survivor of the family be given a house rent-free for the rest of his life.
And this person is still there?
Seems to be. He's an elderly gentleman. Keeps very much to himself. This is his house here, on the end of the main line.
I see. Now then, this would be the Martin place, and this the Davis.
Yes, that's right, sir.
The Martin bedroom and the Davis porch face the same way along that curve of the hill.
Yes, that's it, sir. It seems they didn't originally intend to build on the hill, but they've started a new house right here. The fellow sketched it in for me. The demand's been very high. Wouldn't mind living there myself.
After we get this killer, eh, Sergeant?
Oh, yes, sir, after.
Pass me that ruler, William.
Right.
Thank you. See here, Williams. The Martin window and the Davis porch are in direct, clear line with the new building. I wonder now. I assume the contractor isn't working his men at night. I wonder now.
This is the top floor, Inspector. Hard wood isn't in yet, but that floor will take your weight. That's the dormer window you asked about.
Look around, will you, Sergeant?
Very good, sir.
About the progress of this building.
Yes, sir.
How long has this top floor been in this half-finished state?
About a fortnight, sir. Glaziers are due end of this week. Carpenters will get the flooring right after that.
Anyone here at night?
Yes, there's a watchman for the old development. One of his stations is just across the road. You can see it through the window. There.
I see.
I have them, sir. Here. They were lying along the wall, under the window.
Now, who'll do this? 10-penny nails in the windowsill. Someone will catch it for this.
No doubt someone will. Someone put those nails in to help steady a rifle. The same someone who left those 2 brass cartridge cases behind him.
How do you catch a killer who strikes silently in the darkness? How do you match his craftiness? Perhaps you say to Tom Larkin,
"It may be dangerous, Larkin. Will you cooperate?"
Oh, I've been under fire before now, Inspector.
Very well. Now then, I believe someone told me the telephones hereabouts are on party line.
a telephone call is made on the party line.
I want to talk to you, Goodson, about this killer. I think I know who it is. I'll walk over in half hour with a friend of mine, and I'm picking up Sid Davis on the way.
No mention, of course, that the friend is Sergeant Williams, CID, who will walk alongside Tom Larkin, staying between him and the new house on the hill. No mention of the inspector crouched on the hillside in the dark shadow of the half-built house.
So, you're certain the men know the orders, Mason?
Yes, sir. There's anyone into the cordon, but no one gets out, except the watchman.
Very good. Now, let's see. Yes. Time Williams and Larkin were starting on the walk. Let me have the glasses, Mason.
Through the night glasses, the inspector watched. Almost half a mile away, two men left the Larkin house, started slowly along the road. On the hillside, a shadow slipped quietly toward the half-finished house. The inspector whispered.
Hear that? Not a sound now.
Unsuspecting, a shadow moved through the line of police, past the hidden inspector, into the building.
Come along, Mason. He's gone into the house.
Into the empty building. Empty, except for a killer. Climbing steadily. No lights. Only the vague outline of the unpainted banister and the clean smell of new wood. Suddenly the footsteps ahead stop. The inspector and his companion pause at the head of the stairway. The glassless window shows the night sky bright with stars. A black shadow kneels at the sill, places a long, heavy object between the two 10-penny nails.
All right, Mason, take him.
No. Please don't take me. No, I have a right here. Better than anyone. I have a right.
You're being taken in charge for murder. I must warn you that anything you say may be taken down in writing. Never mind, Mason. He doesn't understand.
Yes, sir.
You're Philip Waldman, aren't you?
Who are you? You seem to be a gentleman.
My name's Foster. Why are you here in this empty building, Mr. Waldman?
I have a right. This is my land. My family's land. They told me when I sold it for the money I could go on living here. I built houses, brought strangers. I'm driving them out. I'm hunting them out, as I hunted in Africa. And you were a boy. That's my right. I came to live on my land. Trespassers, there's a law.
There's a law, too, Mr. Waldman, about rifles like this. And silencers.
Silencers. I'm a good shot. Pick them up like quail. I'm not a silencer. Supposed to spoil the accuracy of a rifle. But not mine. I'm good. Won trophies when I was younger. I never knew. I never knew.
All right, let's take him downstairs. You were an excellent shot, Mr. Waldman, even with a silencer.
And today that silencer can be seen. In its place, here in the Black Museum.
Orson Welles will be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is Orson Welles.
It's true, of course, that in many countries, men have loved their land to the point of desperation. Philip Wardman loved his to the point of madness and murder. The rifle belonged to his grandson, a veteran living far away in Canada. Where the old man bought the silencer was never learned. The secret of that went with Philip Wardman to the place where his bitter, lonely life drew to its close. The silencer itself remains in its usual place in the Black Museum. Now, until we meet next time, I'll tell you another story about the Black Museum. I remain, as always, obediently yours.
Inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, and it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as you hear the story I call 0 Hour. Our story tonight begins in the large, luxurious office of Dr. William Jackson, the noted psychiatrist. Dr. Jackson, a tall, intelligent-looking man in his late 50s, is seated in a chair beside a fireplace reading a patient's case history. As he reads, the door to his office is quietly opened, and Keith Roberts, a slender, nervous man of 35, peers into the room.
Pardon me, Doctor. Oh, it's you, Mr. Roberts. Come in.
Thank you.
Is there anything I can do for you?
Doctor, I just couldn't stay in my room. I must talk to you. I simply must.
Now, won't tomorrow do?
No. It'll be too late then. It's got to be tonight.
I see. Well, here, take this chair by the fireplace.
Thank you. Doctor, I know you're my final hope. That if you don't find me sane, they'll put me away. This is my last chance. I must make you see that my story is true.
Are you sure it can't wait till tomorrow?
No. Every minute counts. Even now, time is running out.
You sound as though an overwhelming disaster were about to happen.
Yes, Doctor, that's just it. A disaster such as the world has never known is about to happen. It will affect every human being on Earth.
Suppose you start from the beginning and tell me everything.
From the beginning?
Yes.
Well, I suppose it all began that day 6 months ago in Philip Cromwell's office. Cromwell is the fellow who publishes my books. I'm a writer, you know.
Yes, I know.
Well, Cromwell told me that he had acquired the literary rights to the life of the world-famous scientist, Professor Dana Friedberg. And I was the man who would write the professor's biography. I think that day, Doctor, was the happiest in my life. I was to have the opportunity to talk to Professor Dana Friedberg every day and grow to know him intimately. He was a scientist and humanitarian who I, like countless thousands, had admired and respected for years. Well, it was with a certain feeling of excitement that I arrived at Ardmore, Pennsylvania, where the professor lived and taught. I registered at the inn and then phoned the professor's secretary for an appointment. Professor Friedberg lived in a small cottage And as his housekeeper led me to his study, I could see the house was plainly furnished. The study itself was overflowing with books. They were everywhere. And there amidst the books sat the professor himself. White-haired, small, puffing on a pipe.
Come in, Mr. Roberts. Come in.
Thank you, Professor.
Here, let me remove the books from this chair so you can sit down. So, you are the young man who is going to write my biography?
Yes, sir. I want this book to do justice to your life, Professor. To make people realize what you've contributed to humanity.
Well, I might have contributed a great deal more if people only understood men of science.
How do you mean, sir?
Scientists work and think in terms of the future. Scientific research has always been handicapped by men who had no faith in the visions of science.
Well, don't you think, Professor, science has achieved so many miracles that people aren't as skeptical as they once were?
I wish I could agree. But believe me, Mr. Roberts, if I were to advance the theory that there is a civilization on Mars, many people would say that old Professor Friedberg is in his dotage.
Yes, I suppose you're right. You speak of a civilization on Mars. Do you have any theories on that, Professor?
No, none at all, my friend. But it is quite possible there is a civilization on Mars, one even more highly developed than our own.
Well, I find the idea quite intriguing.
We scientists here on Earth are planning atomic-powered ships. Ships that will be able to fly to other planets. Who knows, perhaps Mars or some other planet is far in advance of us scientifically. Perhaps we will wake up one morning to find that we have visitors from another planet.
Strange, isn't it? When we think of such things, it's always we who will fly to another planet. It never occurs to us that another planet may reach us first.
Exactly. And yet, who knows? At this very moment, a rocket ship or some other type may be on its way to Earth. Yes, my friend, things may be happening on other planets that we here on Earth cannot even comprehend. Yes, I have learned one important fact in this long life of mine. Anything is possible.
The days that followed went swiftly. And as the weeks slipped by and my notes on the professor accumulated, I knew that his was one of the great minds of all time. I was constantly astounded by his wide knowledge on a score of subjects. It was small wonder that famous people from all over the world came to see this remarkable man. It was almost with regret that 4 months later, I finished the biography and called upon the professor to say goodbye.
Oh, so you are returning to New York?
Yes, Professor.
I shall miss our daily talks, Keith. Yes, it had become a most pleasant habit.
I'll miss them, too. Professor, is anything wrong?
Wrong? What makes you ask?
Oh, come now, Professor. We've known each other for over 5 months. By this time, I can sense your every mood, and something seems to be worrying you.
Yes, Keith, something is. I don't know whether you read about it in the papers, but a week ago there was a tremendous explosion in the wilds of Montana.
Yes, I recall the papers said it was a meteor.
Yes, that seemed the obvious answer. After all, a meteor crashing into Earth is not an uncommon event.
Are you trying to tell me it wasn't a meteor?
A government investigation was made at the site of the explosion. A huge piece of metal weighing several tons was found buried deep in the earth.
That certainly sounds like a meteor.
Yes, it does. But when the metal was dug up and examined, a very curious fact was revealed.
What was that?
The metal could not be identified. It was a new element, never before seen on Earth.
A new element?
Yes. Every conceivable test was made. It is a metal that is 1,000 times harder than steel, and yet it is lighter.
Well, what does Washington think?
They believe it to be a meteor, a type that never crashed onto Earth before.
And what do you believe, Professor?
I have a theory, Keith, which I have not told to anyone as yet. Do you recall our conversation the day we met?
Oh, yes.
I mentioned at the time that it was quite conceivable that some other planet might have a much higher civilization than our own.
Yes, and you said it was possible that we might wake up some morning and discover that we had visitors from... Professor, you don't mean that the explosion...
Why not?
You think that explosion might have been a rocket ship from another planet that crashed into the Earth?
It is only a theory, but it is not beyond the realm of possibility.
If that is true, then it means this metal is wreckage.
Yes. Before passing on this theory to Washington, I should like to conduct a personal investigation.
You mean go to Montana, the site of the explosion?
Yes. Would you care to go with me?
I'd like to very much.
Good. Then I suggest we leave tomorrow without divulging our plans to anyone. We fly to Helena, Montana, hire a car there, and drive the rest of the way.
How much further do you think it is, Professor?
It should be just beyond that hill ahead.
Now, this certainly is desolate country. You could hardly call this a road.
Yes. That large ranch house we passed 20 miles back is the nearest dwelling to where the explosion occurred.
Well, we're coming to the top of the hill. Oh, there it is, Professor. Oh, say, that's quite a hole.
Yes. According to the report, it is 200 feet in diameter and 70 feet deep.
What an explosion that must have been.
I understand it was visible for 60 miles.
Well, just what are your plans, Professor?
Well, the hole has already been thoroughly examined by the government investigators. I suggest that we carefully search the ground for hundreds of yards around the hole. They may have overlooked something.
I see. Well, here we are, Professor.
Yes. Now we shall see if there is any substance to my theory.
Professor?
Yes?
Found anything yet?
No.
Oh, we've been searching for almost 2 days now. Do you think there's much point in looking any further?
Let us not give up yet, Chief.
But we're already a mile from the site of the explosion. It isn't likely that anything landed this far away.
I do not agree with you. An explosion that intense... Hello? What is this?
What's that you're digging up?
Seems like a piece of metal. It is so covered with dirt it is hard to tell. Keith, it is a small metal cylinder.
Yes, you're right.
And it is made of the same metal. Look. There are small grooves on the end of the cylinder. And symbols.
Symbols? Let me see. Yes. You're right.
There are 5 of them.
I've never seen symbols like these before.
All right. And I am familiar with 12 languages.
Professor, this means you're right. That explosion, it wasn't a meteor. It was the wreck of a rocket ship from another planet.
Yes, I am convinced of it now.
What's our next step, Professor?
We must get to Washington at once. This is a matter of the highest importance. This find we have made, it means a new era has begun for mankind. Perhaps you had better stop at that ranch house up ahead.
Why, Professor?
I will use their telephone and call Washington. I'll ask General Thompson of the War Department to put an Army plane at our disposal.
Well, that sounds like a good idea. There are probably several Army planes at Helena.
Yes, I am sure there are. The General can have us flown non-stop to Washington. We are coming to the private road that turns into the ranch house.
Yes, I see it.
How do you do, gentlemen? My name is Jason DeCoven. I'm owner of this ranch. I understand you wish to use my telephone.
Yes, if it is not too much trouble.
I'm very sorry, Professor Friedberg, but my phone is out of order.
I see you know me.
But of course, Professor. I've long been a great admirer of yours.
I am sorry your phone is not working. Come, Keith, we had better be going.
Oh, but, Professor, it's already dark. It's time for supper. Won't you join me? I'd be honored.
No, thank you. We really must be on our way.
Come now, Professor. Surely Washington can wait a few more hours.
What makes you think we're going to Washington?
My men were watching the two of you from a distance as you examined the site of the explosion. Naturally, I assume you're on your way to Washington with the results of your investigation. Tell me, Professor, did you find anything of interest?
Who are you?
I've already told you, Professor. My name is Jason DeCovo.
Your accent, I cannot see. Would you mind telling me your nationality?
Come now, Professor. As one of Earth's most brilliant scientists, surely you must have guessed by this time.
I see it all now. Yes, I see it all. Professor, what's this about? Who is this fellow? Chief, we have made a terrible blunder.
What do you mean?
That explosion was a rocket ship from another planet. But you and I mistakenly assumed it was the first.
You mean other landings have been attempted?
Yes.
But how do you know?
Standing before you is living proof that a successful flight has been made from another planet to this Earth.
You mean DeCoven?
Yes.
But he looks like you or I or anyone else.
Quite true. But nevertheless, he is not a creature of the Earth. From what planet are you, DeCoven?
I am from Mars, Professor.
Mars?
Yes, gentlemen. I can see you're overwhelmed by all this, and understandably. Might I suggest supper? And after we've had supper, I shall be glad to answer any questions you may wish to ask. It's a pity you gentlemen weren't in the proper frame of mind to enjoy this supper. My chef excelled himself tonight. I can see you're both impatiently waiting to ask questions. Please feel free to do so, gentlemen.
How long have you been on Earth, Mr. DeCoven?
I arrived in 1931.
1931?
Yes, 17 years ago. I arrived on the first atomic rocket ship.
How many flights have been made these past 17 years between Mars and Earth?
411. That explosion 10 days ago of one of our ships was our first mishap. Most unfortunate.
Those 411 flights you speak of were all the landings made here?
Yes, this is our main base. Our ships land here at night, dispose of passengers, and take off in a matter of 3 hours.
Passengers? Well, just how many men from Mars are there on Earth at this moment?
A little over 40,000.
40,000?
Yes. 7,000 are in the United States. The others are scattered all over the world.
For what purpose?
I believe in this country you call it a fifth colony.
In other words, you are preparing for an invasion?
Yes.
But why? Why?
We Martians, Professor, are but 200 years ahead of the Earth, scientifically speaking. The Council of Mars believes that if we don't conquer Earth now, someday Earth will conquer us. It is what you might term a preventive war.
You're actually going to invade us?
Yes, Mr. Hudson. We now have 40,000 agents in key positions all over the world. And our fleet of invasion ships are ready.
I take it then that we may expect the invasion momentarily.
Yes, to be exact, the Earth will be invaded on June 22nd at 8:30 p.m. New York time.
That's less than a month from now.
Yes.
And your plans are to wipe out the people on Earth?
Only if they resist. And that would be most foolhardy. Our fleet of 200 atomic ships carry weapons that will overwhelm you in a matter of minutes. As for our Martians, one is the equal of 10 Earthmen.
You don't seem to think very highly of us.
You misunderstand me. You see, we have advanced many ways scientifically. Not only do we live longer, but we Martians are 10 times as strong as you Earthmen.
You don't look it.
I shall prove it. Do you see that log by the fireplace?
Oh, yes.
Notice that the diameter of this log is almost 2 feet. Could any Earthman break this log in half with his bare hands?
Certainly not.
Watch.
Professor, did you see that? He shattered the log into splinters.
A very trivial feat. All the Martians are just as strong as I, some even stronger. You are very quiet, Professor.
I was thinking of the evening of June 22nd and the invasion.
Yes. Let us hope that no resistance will be offered. Well, gentlemen, now that you're my guest, I will show you to your room. This way, please.
Professor, what are we going to do? Speak softly, Keith. Your room may have a dictaphone.
Yes, you're right.
Somehow we must warn Washington of the forthcoming invasion. There is little that can be done to stop the Martians, but we must prepare.
Escape from here is impossible. Look out the window, Professor. That wire fence is charged with electricity. The grounds are all lit up with those floodlights, and there are guards everywhere.
Yes, this ranch is like a fortress. And yet we must escape, warn Washington.
I'm afraid it's hopeless, Professor.
Perhaps not.
Oh, what do you mean?
See, this ranch has its own power plant to generate electricity. Now, if I were to short-circuit the system, you might be able to escape in the darkness and confusion.
Yes, maybe I could.
Look, it is a 12-foot jump from the window to the ground. And then to the garage, it is 20 yards. Now, if you are fortunate, you will be able to start the car before anyone can stop you.
But, Professor, there's the gate. How will I get out?
It is 200 yards from the garage to the fence. If you get up enough speed, you ought to be able to crash through the gate.
Yes, you're right. But what about you, Professor? I don't want to leave you here.
Well, it cannot be helped, Keith. I am a little too old for running. You will have to make it alone.
All right, Professor. But the moment I reach the village, I'll notify the sheriff.
No, Keith, you must not do that. You heard what DeKoven said. He has Martian agents scattered all over the country. The sheriff may be one of them.
Yes, I hadn't thought of that.
Once you escape, DeKoven will leave no stone unturned to recapture you. You must get to Washington before he can stop you.
Who am I to see in Washington?
General Wadsworth, head of scientific research. Tell him exactly what happened and the date for the invasion.
All right.
Stand by the window while I create a short circuit. Now, the minute the lights go out, jump, Keith, and keep running.
Yes, Professor.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
There go the lights. Jump, Keith.
I jumped out of the window before the words were out of the professor's mouth. The moment I hit the ground, I started running. In a matter of seconds, I reached the garage and climbed into my car. Fortunately, there were no guards nearby. I started the motor, stepped on the gas, and the car roared out the garage. The car was doing 60 miles an hour as it crashed through the front gate and onto the main highway. Shots rang out as I crouched low in the driver's seat. A half hour later, I reached a small town and succeeded in hiring a pilot and a private plane. As we took off, a car came racing across the airfield, trying unsuccessfully to prevent the takeoff. 15 hours later, I was in Washington, telling my story to General Wadsworth.
And you say, Mr. Roberts, you escaped from the ranch in Montana last night?
Yes, General, and Professor Friedberg is still there, a prisoner of this Martian agent DeKoven. We must rescue him, General, we must.
Now, please don't excite yourself, Mr. Roberts. I've sent for a doctor, and he'll be here any minute. He'll give you something to calm your nerves.
You mean you don't believe me? You think I imagined everything?
You've probably been working too hard, and as a result...
But I tell you, it's the truth, every word of it. The professor is a prisoner of this Martian agent DeKoven. Why won't you believe me?
Here's today's newspaper. If you look at this story on the front page, you'll note that Professor Friedberg is dead.
Dead?
He was found dead in his bed at Ardmore, Pennsylvania this morning. And furthermore, a medical examination revealed he's been dead 48 hours. Heart attack.
But that's impossible. The professor was with me last night in Montana. Just 16 hours ago.
Please, Mr. Roberts, get hold of yourself. It's all here in the paper, just as I've told you.
Well, wait a minute. Now I'm beginning to see what happened.
Please, Mr. Roberts.
DeKoven murdered the professor with a drug. A drug that made it appear as if he'd died of a heart attack. Yes, that must be it.
But you said you'd seen the professor only 16 hours ago. Yet the medical examiner said he'd been dead 48 hours.
DeKoven's behind that. Somehow DeKoven has made it appear that the professor has been dead 48 hours to discredit my story. And after he murdered the professor, he had the body flown to the professor's home. Don't you see, General? DeKoven wants you to think I'm insane to prevent you from believing my story. Now, you must listen to me. The Martian invasion is scheduled for June.
There you are at last, Doctor. I'm afraid Mr. Roberts here is very badly in need of your services. See what you can do, won't you, Doctor?
That was several weeks ago, Doctor. And ever since that day I told General Wadsworth my story, I've been confined to this institution. One doctor after another has examined me, but they're all a pack of fools. None of them believe me. Dr. Williams, you're my last hope. I know that. If you don't help me, then there's no one else I can turn to.
I'll do anything I can for you, Mr. Roberts.
Then don't let them put me away. I know my story sounds fantastic, but it's true. You must believe me.
I do believe you, Mr. Roberts.
You do?
Yes. There are one or two things in your story I'd like to check.
Of course, Doctor. Of course. I knew you'd see I was telling the truth.
To begin with, you say this Martian, DeKoven, was it?
Yes, Jason DeKoven.
Yes, you say this fellow DeKoven picked up a log that was 2 feet in diameter and crushed it in his hand.
Yes, Doctor. He splintered that thick log into 100 pieces.
Oh, that's incredible. Would you say the log was as thick as this one by my fireplace?
Yes, just about the same size. But, Doctor, why are you picking the log up?
I just want to show you something.
You splintered the log into small pieces. Just as DeKoven did. You're one of them. A Martian.
Yes, Mr. Roberts.
DeKoven said they were scattered all over the world. In key positions.
Quite true. We've been watching you with great amusement these past weeks. We knew your story would never be believed, not after DeKoven's clever disposal of Professor Friedberg.
What are you going to do with me? Declare me insane and confine me to this institution?
Oh, no, Mr. Roberts. You're perfectly free to leave at any time.
I'm free? Is all?
Yes, any time you desire.
Aren't you afraid that someone in Washington might believe me?
No, Mr. Roberts. You no longer present a problem. I believe you said the invasion was scheduled to occur on June 22nd at 8:30 p.m. New York time. Is that correct?
Yes.
In other words, tonight.
Tonight?
Yes. Didn't you know it's June 22nd?
I've lost the time.
See by my watch, it's exactly 8:28. According to your story, the invasion should start in just 2 minutes.
Yes.
I'll open a window so we can see the skies. Yes. There's the Martian invasion fleet coming into the stratosphere. Mr. Roberts, I do believe your story. It is now 0 hour. The invasion has begun.
Traveler. Did you enjoy our trip? What's that? You don't like the idea of the Martians conquering the Earth? Well, I wouldn't worry too much about Keith Roberts' story. After all, tonight is June 22nd, and it is 8:30. But I don't see any Martians around. Do you? I'm afraid poor Mr. Roberts imagined the story he told Dr. Williams, and when Dr. Williams told him it was a delusion, Roberts felt he was being persecuted and accused Dr. Williams of being a Martian agent. Now, I recall another young man who insisted that he... Oh, you have to get off here. I'm sorry. But I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at this same time.
The distinguished Hollywood actor Warren Williams, and featuring Mary McCarty, Gene Colby, and Howard Culver, with an all-star Hollywood cast. Original music by Del Castillo. Dead men's wills are often strange. We cannot attempt to understand them or try to find the answers. We can but tell the story.
This is Warren Williams bringing you the story Singapore Lives. But first...
to Warren William as John Francis O'Connell in Singapore Liz.
I'll never forget the first time I saw Singapore Liz. I stood at the rail of the ship as it eased into its berth at Singapore. Below on the docks was Bedlam. Coolies, turbaned Orientals, white people were all milling around the dock, waiting for the passengers to disembark. Here, east was meeting west. And then, quite suddenly, I saw her. She was standing alone, leaning up against a round lifebuoy that hung suspended from a piling. Her hair was blonde and tawny and hung down around her shoulders. She had on a bright red sweater, and then I saw her eyes, green eyes that searched and probed our ship from stem to stern. As I watched her, the deck steward came up alongside of me. He saw her, too.
There she is. Singapore Liz. Hasn't missed a berth in 5 years.
Singapore Liz, eh? I've heard of her before. But tell me, steward, how'd she acquire that name?
Oh, I don't know, Mr. O'Connell. She's a character, though, right enough. But here's a picture, too. I often wonder what brings you down to the waterfront every time a ship docks. I've heard plenty of story.
What seems to be the real story?
Why do girls watch ship come in for anyway? Not to see the smoke and hear the bells ring, no. When a girl meets a ship, every ship, day or night, it's because of a guy.
You think that Singapore Liz is
No, I
for
don't know. You like a funny yarns, especially here at Singapore, where east meets west. But that girl's real story hasn't been told. She won't talk.
Won't talk, huh? Generally, girls like to tell what's on their mind.
Yeah, but not this one. She just comes down and looks. And when everyone's off the ship, she goes back to her job.
Oh, what kind of a job?
She's a singer down at one of the dives along the waterfront. Terry's place, they call it.
Huh?
What a spot, too, from what I hear. Well, that means the old gangplank is down. Good luck, Mr. O'Connell, if I don't see you again. And take a tip from an old sailor.
Oh, what's that?
Every sailor from Frisco to the Hebrides has tried to find out what it's all about. So if you're thinking of trying to get Singapore Liz to talk, forget it. It can't be done.
The steward should have known better than to tell a lawyer not to try and learn the secret of Singapore Liz. For lawyers are a curious lot, especially when it comes to an unsolved mystery. The very first night I had free, I visited Terry's place on the waterfront. What a place it turned out to be.
Here's a seat. Over here, mister.
Thank you.
What'll it be?
Tell you what, bring me a pot of tea, green tea, and buy yourself the best drink in the house. How's that?
Okay. I'll take a Singapore special and bring you the tea. Green tea.
Now, say, before you go, tell me something.
Sure.
Who's Terry, the man who owns this place?
I'm Terry, mister.
Oh?
Who are you?
Oh, well, Terry, my name's O'Connell, John Francis O'Connell. I'm a lawyer from the States.
What you over here for?
Well, it's no secret. I'm over here to locate a missing person, an heir. A woman who inherited $1 million. And yet she doesn't know about it.
A dame gets $1 million and don't know about it. That's a laugh. What's her name, Bub? I mean, Mr. O'Connell.
Her name is Marilyn Webster. Ever heard of her?
Listen, mister, I know nearly every dame in Singapore, but I ain't never heard of Marilyn Webster. Well, I'll run along and bring you tea. You listen to Liz. She's going on now with her number.
Oh, you mean Singapore Liz?
Yeah. That's her. Boy, is she a dame.
I don't care what he does, 'cause he's my guy. I guess he always was. He's careless about me. I don't think he tries. But once in a while, he'll hug me and smile. Then I can see me in his eyes. Oh, he he's my guide. I know
It
he'll...
was a dame, all right. And was she beautiful? That same tawny hair now hung low over the back of a green silk Chinese gown. Her voice was throaty and fighting. She'd have been a sensation on Broadway. But what was she doing in this dive? Way out here in Singapore.
I'll give until I die. 'Cause nobody knows better than I that he's my God.
Did you see, mister? What'd you think of Liz?
I think she's terrific, Terry. What keeps her in a place like this?
I don't know. Some dames like to hang around the waterfront. Like the smell of the sea and like to hear the foghorns in the night. You never know what's in a dame's mind, mister. And I know. I've been running joints here in Singapore for 15 years. I meet them all.
Terry.
Yeah?
Would you please give Singapore Liz my card and tell her that I share her curiosity about docking ships?
Oh, that's a new one. Every guy east of Sunset wants to buy Liz a drink. But it's no soap. She don't see nobody.
But I'm a lawyer, Terry. You see, lawyers have a way with women.
Okay. It's a deal with me. But if you get turned down, don't feel bad. No one's made the grade yet.
An hour went past, and no Singapore Liz. Then, just as I was ready to call it quits, I saw her come through the smoke-filled room towards my table. Well, maybe we lawyers did have a way after all.
You want to see me, mister?
Yes. Yes, I did, Miss...
The name is Liz. Singapore Liz.
Well, Miss Singapore, won't you sit down and join me in a cup of tea?
Okay.
Well, Singapore, I asked you to come to my stable tonight because you interest me.
Oh, that's a good one, mister. Only it doesn't register. Get this straight. I may interest you, but you don't interest me.
Oh, now, just a minute. Let's get the record straight. I'm not after your phone number or your address.
Well, you wouldn't get 'em if you were.
I saw you the morning my ship docked. I saw you leaning against the pier, looking up at the people aboard. Your look was hungry. Hungry for someone you missed. If you'll let me, I'll help you.
And you don't want anything. Ha ha! Holy cow, this is one for the book. Here's a guy who wants to help and doesn't want anything for it. Well, what is this, a gag?
I can assure you that it's not a gag, Singapore.
Oh, so you're a lawyer.
Yes, I am. You have my card.
Well, maybe I can trust you.
Well, of course you can.
Well, mister, you're right about me looking for someone. I've never missed a ship in 5 years. I keep on looking. But he never comes back the way he said he would.
He, Singapore? Who is he?
He's the guy.
Well, maybe I can help you find him.
Nah. How you going to find one little guy in a billion people?
It's been done.
But this guy said he'd come back. He promised.
Why don't you tell me about it, Singapore?
Well, listen, mister, there's a freighter due at the docks at midnight. I'll tell you the story down there. You see, that's where it began and ended.
Right.
Down there in the swirl of the fog in the night. Yep. Down on the dirty docks in Singapore.
A little after midnight, I made my way through the fog and the gloom to the long docks that lined the harbor. Near the water's edge, I found Singapore Liz waiting patiently for the freighter to come in. Hello, Singapore.
Hiya, Mr. O'Connell.
When's she going to dock?
Oh, not for an hour or two. She's anchored out in the bay, just like the other one was.
What other one, Singapore?
The one he was on.
Want to tell me about it?
Why not? Maybe you can tell me what to do.
I can try.
Well, it all began late one night in September. I came down here for a last look at the street before I went to sleep. I was leaning out over the railing, sort of looking up at the sky, letting the wind blow in my face. All of a sudden, I heard a splash in the water. Someone out there was swimming for the dock. Hey, you. You need any help?
I'll make it.
Here's a ladder. There it is. You got it?
Yeah, I'm okay. All right, now. Beat it.
No one tells me to beat it, mister. Where'd you swim from?
Listen, you. Just forget you saw me, see? Just forget I climbed up this ladder.
What's the trouble, cop?
How'd you guess?
Well, guys don't usually come in the way you did unless someone's after them.
Well, they're after me, all right. I just ditched that freighter out in the bay.
You need help?
I need luck. Listen, beautiful. Where can I hide out for a few days?
Aren't you afraid I'll call the cops?
I gotta take a chance, beautiful. And I don't think you're the kind.
Where you from?
States. Every John Law in the country's trying to find me.
What'd you do?
There was a fight. When the smoke cleared, they found a dead man. Stiff with a big name. So they needed a fall guy. But listen, beautiful, I'm cold and wet.
Well, stay right here. If you hear anyone coming, climb down the ladder so they won't see you. I'll run back and get your coat. You can't walk down the street that way.
Okay, beautiful. You win.
I'll be back. Believe me, I'll be back.
That was the beginning, Singapore. Well, what happened? You must have come back, of course.
Oh, yeah, I went back. Well, there was something about him that made me want to help him. He looked so lonesome, I guess. Maybe he reminded me of the time I hit Singapore. I don't know. Anyhow, I went and got the coat and ran back. And there he was, still waiting for me.
Well, you really did come back, didn't you?
Didn't I say I would? Here, get into this coat. There, now here's my comb. How about straightening those pretty black curls?
Thanks, beautiful.
And we'll walk right down the street, just like we're going out on a date. Come on.
Where are we going?
Leave that to me. You can trust me. I won't do you no dirt, mister. Honest.
Act 2 of Singapore Liz, written by Ken Crepine and directed by Robert Webster Light, will follow in just a moment. But first, here is a word from your announcer. Now back to the strange Will story, Singapore Liz, with Warren William as John Francis O'Connell.
Well, Singapore, so far I see nothing in your story that I can't understand. The fact is you helped him.
Yeah, I helped him. After I fed him and saw that he got a room, I went over to see Portuguese Jake at the Moondream Cafe. Jake liked me, so I knew he'd help me if I asked him to. He was in his private office.
Singapore, sweetheart, come in.
Thanks, Jake.
Now, what brings you over to see me at 2 in the morning? Come on now, tell Papa Jake.
I need help, Jake.
You need help? I don't believe it. You got someone for Jake to cut your throat, eh?
Jake, I'm hiding someone over at a rooming house near my place.
Hiding someone, huh? Now, what is my Singapore Liz up to? Who is he?
Look, Jake, be a good guy and don't ask any questions.
What you want me to do, Singapore?
Jake, I want you to help me hide him until it's safe for him to go back to the States.
You want me to hide him out, eh? And what you do for Jake after I held up this bomb, eh, Singapore?
Nothing, Jake. Same as always.
Then why should I risk my neck to help him?
Because I want you to, Jake.
You're a strange one, Singapore. 2 years I wanted you to marry me. And always I get the bombs rushed. What's the matter with me, eh?
Nothing, Jake. I think you're the swellest guy I know. Honest.
Okay, Singapore. I take care of this guy. Keep him under cover for tonight, and tomorrow I move him to a safe place.
Thanks, Jake.
In a few weeks, I ship him off to Tibet, China. Somewhere safe. Okay.
Jake?
Yeah?
As soon as he gets out of the country, I'm going to try very hard to see things your way.
That's all right, Singapore. Don't do nothing till you're sure.
Well, Jake kept his word. Next day he moved Jeffrey, that was his name, to the Chinese part of town. I went over to where he was staying almost every day.
Did he tell you who he was, Singapore?
He told me nothing. Only his first name was Jeffrey. Well, the days went by. I was so happy. I hated to see the day come when he would ship out.
You fell in love with him, huh?
Hard. Only I didn't tell him. What's the use? Any day he was scheduled to go. He couldn't stay. Especially after that American Dick arrived.
They'd traced Jeffrey to Singapore, then.
Yeah, he came over to find him. We heard about it down at the Moonbeam.
What did you do?
Jake made arrangements to ship him out that same night. There was a ship sailing for Rangoon. I went over to say goodbye. It was hard to do, mister. But neither one of us said what we really wanted to.
Both in love and afraid to say so.
Sure. But it was so hopeless. Well, after saying goodbye, I went back to work at the Moonbeam. The joint was packed.
Beside a lotus-covered door, a veil of moonlight on his lonely face. How pale the hands that held me in embrace. My sails tonight are filled with perfume of with temple bells to guide me to the shore, and then I'll hold him in my arms and love the way I loved before. On a little street in
We are the police, and a search will be made of your identification.
Oh, Jake, they're here. They're here to get him.
Who's here to get who?
The police, the American detectives. They're out there now.
Police in here?
Yes, Jake.
Well, there's Jeffrey. He isn't in here now.
Yes, Jake, he's here, too. I saw him come in while I was doing my number. He's sitting at that table in the corner.
I told him not to leave the house until we came and got him. Well, let him get caught. Charles him right.
Oh, no, Jake. He must get away. He must.
Can I go Singapore?
I don't know, Jake.
I've got one chance. When the police switch, puts out all the lights. Maybe this Jeff guy gets out. Maybe not. But you give him a chance. Stay here till I come back.
Hey!
Well, mister, I had some anxious moments. The lights went out and Jeffrey got away in a scramble. He ran to my house and waited till I got home.
Done it, Singapore. I shouldn't have done it.
Oh, Jeff, you might have been caught or even killed. Oh, Jeff.
There, beautiful. Don't waste your tears on me.
Jeff, I love you. Can't you see? Don't you know?
And I love you too, Singapore. That's what made me come down to the cafe tonight. I had to see you. Just once more.
Don't you see what you've done? You made it tough on Jake to get you away tonight. The cops will be watching the dock.
I know it, beautiful.
Look, Jake will find a way to ship you out.
I don't want to go, Singapore.
I don't want you to go either. But you have to. You have to.
Poor little Singapore, Liz. Guess I brought you nothing but trouble, kid. That's what comes from loving the wrong guy.
Jeff, listen to me. You get on that boat and go away. Get into China. To that you can hide there.
Maybe I can, but I'm not going to. Liz, I told you that they wanted to pick on me for a fall guy. That's the truth. I didn't kill anybody. I was there, yeah, but I didn't kill.
But they'll railroad you. You said so.
Maybe they will, and maybe they won't. But I've got to go back and face the music, Liz. That's the only way we can ever be together. I've got to go back.
We? Together?
Of course, Liz. I can't run away forever. And I want you, Liz. I want to marry you the minute I'm in the clear.
Oh, Jeff. What are you going to do?
I'm going down and give myself up.
Oh, no. No, Jeff.
It's my only chance. My only chance to come back clean, Liz. It's my only chance of getting back to Singapore. And you.
Well, there you have it, mister. Jeff gave himself up to the law and they took him back to the States. I don't know what happened. He never wrote.
Singapore, get ready for a shock.
Why? What?
Jeff will never come back.
Won't come back?
No, Singapore. He's dead.
Dead? Jeff dead? I don't believe it.
Jeffrey Lane. His last name was Lane. You never knew that, did you?
I never asked him.
Jeffrey died in prison last year. He was serving a 5-year sentence for being an accessory to the crime of murder.
Then he was sent to prison.
Yes. He never wrote to you, Liz, because he didn't even know your name. Then, too, he wanted to avoid the chance that you and Jake might get into trouble for hiding him from the police.
I understand.
While Jeffrey was in prison, his father died and left him a fortune. In fact, he left him almost $1 million.
$1 million?
Then one day, Jeff took sick. An operation was performed. It was an emergency. Jeffrey died, but on his deathbed, he made his last will. He never forgot you, Singapore. Not for a moment.
I didn't either.
In his will, he named you as sole heir to his estate.
What?
But he only knew you by the name of Singapore Liz. I spent months investigating you. Finally, through the cooperation of the police and other agencies, I learned that your real name is Marilyn Webster, that your parents were missionaries in the interior, that after they died, penniless, you drifted into Singapore and then made your living singing in nightclubs and cafes.
Tonight when you asked me to come to your table, you knew all this, didn't you?
Yes. When I first saw you standing at the dock, I knew who you were. But I wanted to know the whole story. I wanted to be sure. That's why I wanted you to tell me.
Gee, mister, but you're going to seem funny not to come down to the docks anymore.
It was a labor of love, Singapore. People all over the world knew about you and your tireless devotion to an ideal.
5 years. 5 long years. Now, instead of coming back, he sends me $1 million. I can't believe it.
But it's true. Every word. Tell me, Singapore, what are you going to do now that you're a rich girl?
Oh, I don't know, mister. Maybe we'll build a nightclub after I catch up on some of the sleep I've missed.
We? Did you say we, Singapore?
Yeah, For 5 years, I've never missed a boat so that I could be the first to see Jeff and warn him.
Warn him? Of what?
Well, the day after the cops took Jeff back to the States, Jake was sent up for harboring a fugitive. He served a whole year, mister. And when he got out, he swore that he'd kill Jeff if he ever came back to Singapore. I knew he'd do it, too. That's why I met every ship. To warn Jeff to stay on the boat and to go back home. Killing means trouble. I wanted Jake to stay in the clear. He's been such a swell husband.
Warren William will be back in just a moment to tell you the rest of the story of Singapore Liz. But first, here are a few words from your announcer. And here again is Warren William as John Francis O'Connell.
Next time you see a pretty girl standing on the corner with that hungry, lonesome look in her eye, don't you believe it. More than likely she has a perfectly good husband waiting for her just around the corner. There's a new Moondream Club in Singapore today, and of course Singapore Liz, wearing her exotic oriental gowns, is still the big attraction. And Portuguese Jake, he's doing all right, too. Who wouldn't with $1 million bankroll to play with? Next week, I have a story to tell you about a songwriter. At least he thought he was. After weeks of hard work, he finally finished his opus, which he thought would reach the hit parade. He sent his song lyrics to a music publisher, and from then on, things began to happen. For a story filled with heartbreak, pathos, and love, listen to Swan Song. This is Warren William inviting you to join us again next week.
Strange Wills is a Teleways feature produced in Hollywood. Any similarity between names used on this broadcast and those of living persons is purely coincidental.